Hello, everybody. Thought I'd go a little bit live. How are we all doing? Hello, Jazz, MCAT, Dave from Paranormal Explorers, Deidre, and Mark and Annette Mystery Tours. Hope you're all really, really well. Thanks for making it, Jazz. I know it's difficult with two little young fellas in the house. Hopefully they're asleep by now or close to it. Um, it's been a long time since we've done a live, and I thought I have to get back into it. So it's been pretty difficult here lately, as you guys in Australia know. Hey Kim, hello my sister. It's been freezing here lately. Hey Brett. Hi Raw. Hello everybody. If anybody wants to come up and join me, it's a free for all tonight. I will throw down a link for you guys, and you can come up and join me. Yeah, it is freezing at the moment. Here where I am, I think most of the days we're having lately anywhere between 8 and 11 degrees. And while that might sound kind of warm to a few from the UK or other places, it's freezing for Australia. So the night times get really cold. I think we've even had a 0 degree night so far. So yeah, pretty crazy. Good to see you all here. Thank you guys. Debbie, thank you. I forgot her bloody name, Kim. Hello, Deb. Yeah, so it's been too long. I thought I'm going to have to get back up. I do have a couple of videos coming that I've gone out and I've recorded. I've been watching a lot of Sam from Life After Life. She's been going doing all these ITC sessions at home, if anyone's been watching them. I know Kim watches them and Brett. And a couple of her sessions and things she said got me really thinking. So I've actually been going back to the same little cemetery that I have here, and I've just been running the spirit box and asking a few different questions and things. And I've got some really interesting responses come through. Only one or two, but yeah, it kind of discussions I've had with Brett and Sam have put me in the mind frame of thinking outside of the usual, is it a ghost box? So they should be interesting. Hi, Stephen. I think I might put a link in just in case any of you guys want to come and have a chat or anything. Say hello to everyone. It's been too long since we've done this. Invite. I've got to get used to doing everything again. I'm pressing the wrong button. Don't even know how to work my keyboard. There we go. I was pressing shift instead of command. Getting over a summer cold. So cool. Yeah, I've been a little bit nasally as well. And it's not the dreaded, but it's just a bit of a head cold. All the kids were sick recently when I was out at my dad's place for 9 days. So, yeah, that's why I've been quiet over the last 9 days. So I apologise to everybody. But my dad and stepmom had some personal stuff they had to go away for. So I actually had to feed horses and sheep and the dog and everything else for 9 days. So, hey Tara, hello. Really, really good to see you. Hi Mark and Annette. Oh, you guys are amazing. Not the spicy cough, that's good. Yeah. Why didn't your name go down on the list? What list was that, Stephen? Would have loved that. Yeah, it was so good out there at Dad's place. Brett and that would love it too. It's just the big hills, the big Australian hills that are covered in trees, and the clean air, like you can taste and smell the clean air. It's not tainted in any way, and you can just hear the wild birds, and oh, it was so good. The hello list. I have no idea. um, what else was I going to say? Oh, you would fall in love with it out there, Brett. It is so. I've got one vlog that I have yet to put up, and it was me and the girls walking part of the human hobble track out here, and it's zigzagging up through the mountain, up the top to the trees, and there was I'm trying to think. I think it's a minor bird, my dad said. And the minor bird will actually mimic the sounds of other birds and things around it. So I got a recording of this bird doing that, and oh, it's brilliant. Hey, Sky. Hope you're doing well on your travels. I actually saw your vlog pop up yesterday, so I've got to go and watch that. Any paranormal activity there? That's an interesting story, Jazz. So hopefully I don't think my parents watch my channel. I wasn't going to record for their own privacy, but the first night that I got there, they lost someone not so long ago, and the first night I was there, I actually slept upstairs in the parents' bed so the kids could have the other rooms, and they slept in the flat downstairs. And I was laying there, and I kid you not, there was someone over the top of me on the bed, like floating above me. And I was like, oh, okay. And then there were a couple of times during the night where I thought the dog was coming in, walking through the kitchen. So I got up, went out to make sure he didn't need to go to the toilet, and he's in bed. There's no dog in the kitchen. So, yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, we're doing really well, Sky. Thank you. Hello Park got chopped off. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, not on top in that way. In that way, Brett. They were above me. They were, I would say, almost a meter above me, and it was just kind of floating. I know that seems very Ghostbuster-ish, but that's what it was like. Not on top of me. Hello, Noni May. Hello. Rick, hello. Gosh, we got a whole heap of people in here. How are y'all doing? Hope you're all doing really, really good. Oh, really, Brett? Oh, see, you should come up here and talk. You can have your camera off. um, yeah, it's kind of weird because I've got a couple of pubescent, almost teen children as well. So, um, yeah, really weird. Hey, Fairy, hello. And the gang's all here. The gang is all here. Yeah, you guys have made my night. You made me very happy. So has anyone had anything interesting happen? Anything at all? Any good stories? Rather be watching you, Julie, than Hairspray on the box. Oh, Hairspray was a terrible movie, wasn't it? If that's what you're talking about. Oh, Brett's here. Hello. How are you?
Hang on a minute. I'm gonna have to mute.
Okay.
That's better. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
You're gonna have to excuse me. I'm a bit spaced out at the moment, but
That's all right. Is that your medication or alcohol?
medication.
Yeah. So, how have you been? You been all right?
Yes and no. I'm in the process of, as you know, doing a new channel.
Mm-hmm.
Had all the CCTV stuff turned up yesterday, so I've got that to install in the garden.
Yep.
Paranormal wise, it's been fairly quiet. Health wise, it's been an absolute disaster over the last few months. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I'm okay.
Good. We'll keep crossing our fingers and toes and everything else for you. And yeah,
But I'm still rocking on, so that's the main thing.
that is the main thing.
Yeah.
And we're so glad you are. I can't wait to see like the new channel.
It's
Hush
not.
Hush.
Yeah, it's not going to have me on it as such. It's mainly, well, I'll tell people I'm basically going to be streaming all the birds and stuff in my back garden, all the feeders and the bird bath and stuff. So it's just more of a nature channel. So you'll be able to see a bit of British wildlife in an urban garden.
I think that's going to be brilliant. Yeah.
It's going to be a very low maintenance channel, Julie. One that I don't have to really, put a lot of effort in personally with. It'll be all the birds doing it.
Exactly. Little edit, like minimal editing and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how have you been?
Yeah, good. I've just been keeping quiet. As you know, I had a bit of a roller coaster emotionally and just a few things going on, so I just stepped away for a while. And then I think having the bit of a breakout at Dad's place for a while kind of really helped me to, I guess, center myself again and get back to where I need to be. So yeah, it's good. It's so hard though. I don't know if you're the same way, but when something affects me, I think that I let it affect me too much and I step away and seclude myself from everyone and everything.
Yeah.
And it's a bad habit.
I don't know. It just seems to be things come through in, it's like phases or cycles. Like I've lost an aunt 2 days ago. Yesterday I found out one of my friends had passed away.
Oh.
And things are just, one of my other relatives had died a few months ago. So it's all come through in cycles at the moment. But life is life.
Yeah, life is life. And it's hard to when you kind of get to our age because everyone around you is getting old. Even the people you used to watch in movies and things, a lot of them are dying now, and it brings reality in.
My dad's side, he was one of like 7, and my dad is actually the oldest child of the 7. My aunt who passed away the other day was one of the younger. Well, she was the second youngest. And there's literally only 3 of them left now, which is my dad, my uncle, which is the youngest one in the family, and then an aunt who's second eldest to my dad. So they're all like rapid, because my dad's in his 80s now, but they're all rapidly shuttling off the mortal coils and moving on. But like I say, it's life's life. When all said and done, it happens.
Yeah, it does. I think, your parents, especially for those parents that you're close to, it's a really hard pill to swallow when you see them getting older and you know that their time is coming to an end. But you kind of worry about yourself as well when you have kids and you think, oh, well, how are they going to be, when eventually it's my time. So, yeah.
But, considering what we're into, it's I know this sounds a bit morbid, but in some ways it's something to look forward to. Because we're finally going to get the answers.
Yeah, I always said that if I go first, whoever's here and does paranormal stuff, including you, Brett and Sam and everyone here, if I go first, I'm definitely coming back and I'm going to do all I can to prove it to you guys.
Yeah, well, I've said that to you and Sam in the past. If I shuttle off my mortal coil, I will definitely come. If it's possible, I will definitely come back to you to give you the proof you need.
Oh, that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Hmm.
Actually, um, just a little bit of a you know, spoiler. I went down yesterday to my little cemetery, my Pioneer Cemetery, and I did a very short session, about 7 minutes before the rain started. And I was asking questions like, if it's, we all know that there are spirits out there and we talk to them, but maybe there's something else. There are other entities. And I was asking questions in regard to, um, what is it they call you? No response. And then I got into saying, something about asking them if they're living or dead. And then
Yeah.
I said, do you have a body? Like, are you in a physical body? And I got a yes. And it's the only response that I got out of the whole session.
Yeah. To
So
be to
that
be
was
honest,
interesting.
to be honest with you, the amount of times I have asked during spirit box sessions on things like, what is it like to be dead, and is there an
Mm.
heaven and that kind of stuff. Never once have I got an answer, and I honestly believe there are reasons for that.
Yeah,
I
I
I,
definitely
I
do.
I I think there is some kind of natural order in place that, like we've discussed before, if people could definitely confirm one way or the other there is life after, life after life. Sorry, Sam. Uh,
Mm.
you know, the
Shout outs.
the implications in this, the implications in this life would be catastrophic, because suicide rates and things like that would go through the roof, because people
Mm.
who are having a really bad time on this side would be thinking, well, I know there's something better when we move on, so I might as well just speed the process up.
Yeah, especially for things like reincarnation. If they
Yeah.
knew that when they died, they could actually come back and be perhaps something better. I mean, it
Hmm.
might be very tempting to a lot of people, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've always said about, life after death in terms of the paranormal is probably one of the only subjects of the paranormal that we will never be able to prove one way or the other. And like I say,
Mm.
I do think there is a reason for that. I think there's natural laws in place there that prevent it for
Yeah, I think
various
so.
reasons.
Mm. The discussions that you, Sam, and I have had, not only about, you know, ghosts in particular, but about, Bigfoot and UFOs and things like that. There's a lot of stuff that comes up that you never really think of until you hear someone else say it. Like, one of my kids was asking about Bigfoot,
Hmm.
and I went back to what you told me is, well, we know that people have seen Bigfoot. We know that people have evidence of Bigfoot, such as hair and footsteps and other bits and pieces, but there's never been a body found.
Hmm.
Why? So it
There's a
makes you
lot.
think.
Yeah, there's a lot of especially a lot of the modern theories around Bigfoot, Yowie, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
There's a lot of connections now to UFOs and portals and all kinds of things. And I know a lot of modern day Bigfoot hunters are now considering the realms of maybe Bigfoot is interdimensional, and that is the reason why bodies aren't being found, is because they don't actually reside here in this dimension. They just visit because
And
they're. Well,
that would put into perspective a lot of the other evidence too of why the fact that nobody's ever actually captured one or anything else. It
mhm,
makes sense when you think about it.
yeah. If you deep dive into the Bigfoot community, there's even stories of collaboration by the U.S. military, where the U.S. military have actually protected them in areas where something's happened. Like, I was reading one a couple of months ago where there was apparently a big forest fire somewhere that
Hmm.
was affecting the area where they'd been seen, and apparently there was a special unit of the US military sent in there, and stories leaked out that they were there to stop anybody getting in, so that they could get out,
Wow.
sort of thing.
Sky said, we have Littlefoots too. Have you ever heard of a Littlefoot?
Can't say I have.
No.
Apart from in terms of elementals, there are certain supposed elemental beings that have large feet, and
Yeah.
I do often wonder if that is what Tolkien based Hobbits on.
My kids mucking
I could hear
around.
him.
It's all right, they're not fighting. Josie, I believe in the Loch Ness Monster, fairies, and gremlins.
The Loch Ness Monster's an interesting one because the Loch Ness Monster is something that I really, really, really used to believe in.
Mm.
Over the years and reading up on the studies and stuff they've done on the lake, my belief in the Loch Ness Monster has waned, shall we say. I ain't saying that there ain't something there, but I don't think there is, personally.
Mm. I've never really delved into the Loch Ness Monster. I've seen a lot of conflicting evidence.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
the problem with Loch Ness is I think it's actually the largest loch in Scotland,
Hmm.
but it's got one of the lowest fish stock levels in the lake is really low on fish stocks and life in the actual lake. So they're saying that if it's something like plesiosaur type creature, there's no way that there's enough food in the lake to sustain a community of them, because what you've got to remember is that this legend has gone on for hundreds of years. So whatever it is probably ain't going to be the same one. It's going to be, living, dying, living, breeding, dying sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
You
definitely.
know, to I think they estimated to continue propagating itself, there would need to be at least 20. I think they said the 23 of them in the lake, and there is absolutely no way that the fish stocks of the lake itself would be able to sustain 23 plesiosaur type monsters.
Yeah, definitely not. Just reading the chat.
Hmm.
Sky going to Linton and Piggereet tomorrow, Black Rose. I've never heard of that place before.
Is that somewhere in Australia?
Yeah, it's in Victoria. Sky's down in Victoria at the moment, travelling around different places. Lucky, lucky thing. I'll do that one day.
But talking about Bigfoot, apparently there's a surge currently going on with Yowie sightings in Australia, so you might start seeing them cropping up a lot more in your local news reports and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently there's a big surge on Yowie sightings.
Oh, I'm going to have to look into that. Actually, um, where I am, because I'm at the foothills of the Snowy Mountains, and if you go up into the Snowy Mountains, it's I think it's Perisher and a few other ski fields up the top, but you've got a lot of forest in between.
Hmm.
And there've been a lot of yowie sightings up through the forestry up this way through the Snowy Mountains. So yeah, I'll have to look into it definitely.
Yeah, Dedra says Bigfoots really stink badly. Apparently, that is one of the traits that most people report in a Bigfoot sighting is they absolutely smell horrendous.
Really,
Yeah, apparently they've got a really strong, musky smell to
like a dog smell, but worse.
them. I presume it'd probably be. I don't know if you've ever been close to an orangutan or anything like that. They've got a very distinct, musky smell to them, but apparently it's a very, very distinct smell that Bigfoot gives off.
Uh, so if you smell something, run.
Hmm.
I was going to get up the snow this year, but we've already had a lot. We're in the beginning of this first month of winter, and I think in the last week and a half, or last weekend, they had something like 170 centimetres of snow up
Yeah.
in the snowfields just in one weekend. It's
Well,
crazy.
we've got a big day coming up just over a week's time. It'll be the summer solstice, so Stonehenge is going to be invaded.
Oh, is that when they open it up and let everyone in?
Yeah, it's fenced off for the majority of the year, but they allow the druids and certain other people in there on the solstice morning, because they all turn up before sunrise, obviously, and the sun rises up over the keelstone on the solstice. So
Have you ever been there for the
no,
solstice?
believe it or not, I've seen the pyramids and everything, and it's on my bucket list. It's the one place I do want to go. I've been past it numerous times. I've been to Wiltshire when I was doing dog showing pretty much every year for about 10 years. Every
Yep.
time I went down there, I kept saying, I'm going to go down and see Stonehenge, and never went. Uh,
Oh,
with my health getting worse now, I want to do it now sooner rather than later.
yeah, you do. Like even my dad was over there. Oh, it's going back a few years now, maybe up to 10 years ago. Um, and he said that the fence around it, you can't even get really close to it. So
Yeah.
solstice would be a really good time to go
Yeah.
and see
Well,
it.
the reason they fenced it off was because of the vandalism. People were like carving the names into the stones and stuff like that.
They can't
Um,
help themselves.
no, no, there was a lot of vandalism concerned with it. It's an interesting place as well because it sits on an intersection of ley lines. That one of the theories is it's some kind of giant solar calendar. Other people
Yep.
seem to think it's some kind of psychic battery. Um, but it's a really interesting site. There's also another henge that was discovered not far away from it called Woodhenge, believe it or not,
Oh,
and that one's even bigger. And they believe that was where the people who built Stonehenge actually housed themselves while they were building Stonehenge. But
oh wow.
Woodhenge and Stonehenge are actually connected.
It fascinates me.
Yeah,
There's, as you said, like I've got my bucket list, and I thought, my kiddies now, they're soon to be 13, 12, and 12.
hmm
And within the next couple of years, when they're old enough, I really want to start at least traveling around some of Australia and
hmm
seeing some of our country, then looking at going overseas because, as you said, earlier, um, your mortality kind of creeps in and you start
yeah.
thinking about it more.
hmm
Yeah. Especially recently, I've got one knee that started hurting and my back and my neck and my shoulder. It's like I'm old now.
Slowly falling apart.
Yeah, yeah, slowly dwindling. uh,
So I'm just reading the chat.
yeah, has anyone had the Aboriginal spirits popping up more recently? I haven't myself, but I have known other people have said the same thing.
Fish oil, Julie, works wonders.
Fish oil.
Have you
Oh, for
ever
the aches.
have you ever tasted cod liver oil, Julie? It's disgusting. Get it in capsule form if you're gonna take it. It is good, but you don't want to
Mm.
drink the liquid form of it.
Oh God, no. I've taken the capsules before. Actually, does anyone take magnesium? Because magnesium is supposed to be good.
It's great if you light it with a match.
No, the tablets.
Have you ever seen magnesium burn?
Yes, it's like a bright light and it burns
Yeah.
very quick. Oh,
The first thing that'll happen if a Bigfoot is close, all the animals will go dead quiet, even the wind and bugs stop. It'll be dead quiet. Then you smell it. After that, Julie, limbs breaking. Yeah, see, that is another interesting thing because normally something that is part of the natural habitat would not cause that to happen. And what Dedra said there is actually reported a lot where the woods go really quiet, which instigates that something is there. Like if a person goes into a forest and everything goes quiet, you know, they're not used to having humans in the forest. It's the same with Bigfoot. Whereas if you go
Wow.
into the mountains with mountain gorillas, you know, birds and everything carry on singing because they are natural to the woods and trees up in the mountains, the gorillas.
Yep.
And this is another thing that further reinforces this connection that's becoming popular now, where that they're not, you know, either not resident to this planet or not resident to this dimension.
Just responding to that. Yeah, I've noticed that now that I'm off like those other medications that I was on, it took me a little while to adjust, as you can imagine. You've got to get used to feeling everything in your body and that again. And I'm all right now. I'm a lot better than, I was, but I do notice that, especially late at night, you get restless leg and you kind of
Yeah,
just.
you got a very funny anatomy. If you got restless legs connected to your back.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that. Because I get sciatic mainly
Re-
down my right leg.
Reread that sentence, Julie.
I know. I have a habit of shortening my sentences and leaving out important words.
You make it
And
sound like your restless legs are actually connected to your back.
well, your legs kind of technically are.
No, they're not. They're
Well,
connected to your bum.
yeah, they are. But like what I was trying to explain was I get sciatic down my right leg and they start aching at night. It almost feels like you've got, I don't know, it's just all your legs ache, so you rock your legs. You know how you sit there and rock your legs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's horrible. You're terrible. So, the poltergeist thing, I'm sure you've told me that story before, haven't you?
Yeah, the poltergeist was what originally got me interested in the paranormal.
Yeah.
Basically, it went on over about 6 to 8 months, but it culminated with it actually. I woke up the one morning, and as I opened my eyes, it was hovering above me, literally floating above me on the bed. And I stared up at him, and it was in the form of a man,
Yep.
and he got, you know, he was dressed. I always describe, and people laugh at this. I describe him as a cross between Ray Reardon, who was a famous snooker player over here, and Dracula. And when I say Dracula, I don't mean he got fangs or anything, but he got the Brill cream. You know, like Dracula had the Brill cream back hair in all the old films,
Yep.
the really oiled hair. That was what he looked like. And I got the impression he looked like either a foundry worker or a miner. That is what he looked like to me. And as I looked up at him, and he looked down at me, and it was for a few seconds. I was there, and he lunged down at me. And as he lunged down at me, total instinct, I shot up in bed, you know, in fright.
Yeah.
I was only 11 at the time, and literally, as our faces were like millimeters apart, he just blinked away. And then all the activity started to peter out after that.
Do you think it, because there's a lot of talk about you know, poltergeist activity being connected with pubescent or
Yeah,
prepubescent
yeah,
energy. Do you think it was something to do with that?
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
this is why I always say with a lot of these channels who do all these stupid videos, we go into this house because there's a poltergeist there. And I think, you know, if you knew anything about poltergeist, you would know they're not connected to a place. They are definitely connected to a person.
Yeah.
They are connected to a person. Somebody just asked about the Scottish Isles. I have no idea about paranormal activity on a lot of the little islands in Scotland. The thing is, a lot of them are either uninhabited or only have like 10 people on them. So it's rare you get any sort of reports of the paranormal from places like the Hebrides anyway.
Okay. Yeah, Brett's in UK, like London area, British.
No, I'm north. I'm in the north. I'm not
Yeah,
anywhere near
you're
London.
upward. Well, I never know what to call the different parts. I just go, oh, the UK.
Yeah, I'm in what they class the north. I'm in Yorkshire. It's the largest county in the UK.
Would Sam know more about that?
Yes,
Yeah, Sam
because
from Life After Life would be able to tell you about that, Sky.
a lot of the Scottish Isles are on the west coast, and Ireland is off our west coast. So they
Yeah,
sit in between, like Ireland and the mainland UK,
yeah.
but slightly north of Ireland, obviously.
My dad actually, he went to Well, he went to Ireland because my family comes from the area over O'Brien's Bridge at County
Yeah.
Clare.
Well, you can't get much more Irish than O'Brien.
Yeah. um, so they went and visited there. They saw a little bit of Scotland and they came in and saw part of the UK before going to Rome. And I think they went and stood outside Buckingham Palace and that, and they said they were kind of a little bit let down by some of the areas. They kind of hype it up a lot, but you can never really get too close to anything or that.
To be honest with you, the first time I went down to London and saw Buckingham Palace, I was really disappointed with it because
Yeah.
I was expecting this really big, grand, fancy fairy tale type building, and basically it looks like a concrete bunker.
Oh,
Basically, Buckingham Palace.
yeah. I think they make it look more grand on the
Yeah,
TV than it actually
yeah.
is.
It's got some nice stonework features, but it basically looks like a large concrete bunker.
Yeah. I think they watched the changing of the guard and then they kind of
Yeah,
went off and did other things.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting places to visit. Paranormal wise in London.
Hmm.
The Tower of London is one of the best places, obviously, with the amount of executions and things that go on there. And you've also got the paranormal connection with the Ravens. That apparently, as long as Ravens are in the Tower of London, the UK will never be conquered again. Is the
Okay.
myth. So that they actually breed the ravens in the tower and they clip the wings so they can't fly off.
Oh, wow.
So that there are actually psychopomps connected to Tower of London.
There was, I was watching some paranormal group. It was exploring with Josh or something like that. And he
Mm-hmm.
went to some place in the UK, and I can't remember what it's called. But when you drive in, there's a really tall stone tower, and there's a big hole in it because apparently a cannonball or something went through the front of it when there was some war going on. I wish I
Right.
could remember the place of it, and it was supposed to be haunted. And then there was the little church with the woman that was supposed to be a witch that
Mm-hmm.
was buried at the side of the church. Do you know that one?
It
Can't
it
remember.
sounds it sounds vaguely familiar.
Is that the one that it might be the one that they carried up the hill and she wanted to be buried a certain way or
That yeah
something
yeah
like that?
the story sounds familiar, and they refused to bury her in the churchyard because it was consecrated ground, and I believe they buried her in a field next to the church or something like that.
Yep.
If I remember, I can't remember the full story, but it's ringing a bell with the thing about the witch. Not that they refused to bury her in the churchyard because it's consecrated ground, and
Yep.
obviously, in those times, witches were considered cohorts of the devil.
Sky's going to go, bye, Sky. Thank you for coming in.
Bye, Sky.
Yeah, definitely.
Paranormal wise, myself, it's been really quiet here. I've got to be honest, which I ain't complaining about.
That just puts more mystery on it, though, doesn't it? It like you wonder what it is and why it kind of shows up and all
Hmm.
that kind of stuff,
There's one thing that is really noticeable, and it was something Jace mentioned to me last year, and I just laughed it off at the time. But I haven't been doing much in the paranormal on YouTube lately, and I've had a nice peaceful time here. Last time when I had the heart attack and I had to back off, exactly the same. And literally, when I came back doing the streams with you and Sam, within 2 days we had occurrences started happening here in this house, the new house. So I am starting to wonder now. As I always say, is it a fact of the more you look into the paranormal, the more chance you've got the paranormal's going to start looking back at you?
Hmm. It's an interesting concept, that's for sure. I know years ago when I first started the channel and going out and everything, um, I noticed the paranormal a lot more than I did beforehand.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. It's weird how everything kind of changes as you learn more about
Yeah.
the paranormal world.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. The last big thing I had here was that when I told you about that night when I went to the bottom of the stairs and that black thing crawled round the wall and looked at me. That was the one that looked like the bloody alien drone type thing off the
Yeah.
Aliens film. But it literally looked like almost like the aliens off the film, the way with the big long clawy fingers and dog like. But that was the last one, and that was months ago, months and months and months ago. The house here has been really quiet compared to the old one.
See, I've I've seen what I classify as ghosts and stuff like that. I have never seen anything like you described. Not that I'd want to see it, but it makes you think, what is it as well?
Hmm.
And as you said, like, why is it hanging around? Is it connected to this or not?
Yeah, that thing I saw that night definitely wasn't human. It literally crawled. It crawled round the wall and started to come down the stairs at me, and it was. I suppose if I was religious and believed in demons, I'd have described it as looking like a demon. And I did actually get a sense of threat of it. I wouldn't say evil, but I did get a sense of threat of it. And it did actually, and I've seen some things, Julie, but it did actually make me jump when it lunged round the corner. It did make me jump, I've got to be honest. And as I looked up the stairs, it actually crawled forward. It came round the wall and started to come down the stairs
Oh,
a couple of
toward
steps
you.
toward me, and that was why I got the sense of threat off it.
Yeah.
But then it stopped, and then it just went back round the wall and disappeared. But I wouldn't have said it was evil. I never got the impression it was evil, but I did get a sense of threat of it.
Do you think the thing from your previous residence and the two that you've seen here so far, do you think it's the same thing or do you think that they're different?
That definitely different. That is that
Yeah.
is that is the first time I've ever seen or encountered anything where I've actually felt malice of it. And
Hmm.
I've got to be honest, that is the first and only time I've ever sensed malice of something. And that was definitely threatening.
Yeah. That would be terrifying. Like, I can remember when you told me about it, and I actually had chills just hearing about
Yeah,
it.
because I'd actually gone to go up the stairs, and I put my first foot on. And you look up the stairs as you're going upstairs, and as I
Mm.
put my first foot on the stairs, it came round the corner, and then it looked at me, and I looked at it, and then it started to move down. It took a step, and it had got really long fingers, and it was actually holding onto the wall as it came round the corner, and that was how it came
Oh,
down the stairs towards me, and I literally stumbled back and bounced off the wall. That was how much it made me jump, sort of thing. But You know, but I don't get it. I do not get the impression. I didn't feel it was evil. I just got the impression it didn't want me to go up the stairs for some reason.
Oh, maybe it was a really scary warning. Don't go up, you're going to
God
fall
knows.
down or something.
God knows. Hi, Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Absolutely no idea. But it came towards me. It did. You know, it came down 2 steps, as it, and I never saw it fully. Because it was the best way to describe it. If you've ever seen the Alien films with Sigourney Weaver, it was
Hmm.
that kind of build and move. Not it hadn't got the big dome head, obviously, like
Yeah, but the claws
it,
and that.
yeah, it had got the long black fingers, and it put a hand on the wall as it came round the corner of the wall, and
Mm.
it put the hand further down the stairs and started to move down, but part of its body was still behind the wall. But to me, it looked like a dog with a very bullet-shaped head.
Oh my god. You don't think it was what they classify as a uh hellhound?
No, because it didn't look like a dog. It looked like
Okay.
it looked like an alien. It was dog
Yep.
shaped, but it literally. You know, I could take a model of an alien off the film,
Mhm.
pull that weird domed head off it, stick a bullet shaped head on it, and that would be exactly what it looked like. That would be
Jesus.
without obviously without all the big spine things coming off its back, but it looked chitinous like the alien. You know, it looked like it had got an exoskeleton. That's the best way to describe it.
That's scary. Well, you could always test the theory and we could do another live stream, but then again, do you want to see it if it comes back?
But never seen it again. First
Yeah,
time I've ever seen anything like that, and never seen it again.
I just think that's so freaky.
But it was definitely threatening me. It was definitely being threatening. But I don't get the impression it was evil. It was just
Mm.
threatening. At first, I think it was. To be honest with you, when it first came round the corner, I got the impression it was as surprised to see me as I was to see it. That was what was really weird about it. And I think when it first started to come down, it came to check me out. That was what it was doing. But it did it in a really threatening manner. It was like it didn't even expect to see me there. It looked a surprise, you know, by its movements, it seemed to be a surprise to see me as I was to see it.
Fairy said an elemental, maybe.
Could have been,
Mm. Very well could have been.
but it was black. It definitely gave me the impression it had got an exoskeleton, you know, but it had got a very blunt, bullety type. Do you know what an English bulldog looks like?
Yes.
With that very squarish, bullet-shaped head.
Yep.
That was the exact shape of the head it had got.
My God.
You know, I couldn't see any teeth or anything like that. It was just this black, no eyes, nothing, just this black, bullet-shaped head. Never
Can
even
you
saw a
draw?
mouth. Never even saw a mouth. No,
Julie, I can't come on this time. I can't find my headphones and just woke up. That's okay, Sam. We're just doing a little live stream just to catch up and
just
hang
woke up.
out.
It's 1:15, Sam.
It's her day for a sleep in. Big sleep in.
But yeah, I can honestly say that is the most. And you know, I've seen some strange and weird things in my time, but that was the creepiest one. That was the creepiest one last year.
Yeah, that would have freaked me out. I always said that, like, out of everything that I've seen, I, I've been spooked a couple of times, mainly when you get touched or prodded. But if I had have ever seen something like that or something that they classify as, a demon, I think that it would probably scare the pants off me as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't say, I don't believe in angels and demons, and
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't have classified that as a demon. I don't think it was, an
Yeah.
embodiment of evil. I just think it was what it was.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like I say, the fact it was surprised, it looked as surprised to see me as I was to see it. I don't think it had turned up with the intent of doing anything.
Mm. Well, look at it this way: if the stories that other people have said are true in regard to demonic experiences, if it was something demonic, it would still be there harassing you.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
Seen it once and never seen it again.
exactly. I always say to people, like, I don't believe in them either. I just, I don't have enough proof. If you want me to believe, show me. Not that I want to see it, but show me. Make me believe.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
as I got told to get out, as my sweater flew out the window, my sister was doing a Ouija board. I've had some really, what was that just came down your camera?
It's Xavier.
I've had some really, really interesting experiences on the Ouija board.
Mm.
Some really interesting conversations and stuff.
Do you know something really weird? When I moved into this house, um, I was really tempted, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try the Ouija board. I'm gonna have a go at using this. And since I've moved, I cannot for the life of me find my planchette. Talk
Oh,
about a
dearly.
sign.
Oh,
Because I pack them separately. I don't like keeping them together.
why?
It's it's just me. It's my
Superstitious mumbo jumbo.
yes, yes, that's what it is. So I packed the planchette separately, and now I can't find it.
Oh.
I don't know
You
if
can
that's a bad thing or if it's the universe going.
you can use a wine glass.
I did think about that, and then I thought, what if it shatters? Then I can't reuse it because aren't you meant to like keep whatever you use?
There's a lot of weird and wonderful myths and beliefs surrounding the Ouija board, and a lot of it comes from Hollywood. But
Yeah,
like when I was a kid, it was always, oh, you've got to smash the glass after you're finished with it to release the spirits and blah blah blah. There's no
yeah.
hard and fast rules for using a Ouija board of any description, none
Mm.
whatsoever.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind then, because I can always, yeah, use a glass or
Yeah.
make one up.
Hmm.
Um, the reason that I was trying to use the planchette, the board that I have, it's like just a natural piece of pine,
Yeah.
and it's not glossed over or anything, and so I don't know if a glass will get stuck on it. I can
No,
try though.
it should slide okay.
Mm, I'll give it a go.
And if it's just pine, you might be better off buying a piece of glass to fit over the top of it anyway. Just have a thin piece of plate glass laid over the top of it.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
It'll help protect it as well.
Mm. Actually, if I could
I've,
get a
I've, I've,
glass
I've,
chopping board.
I'll do glass engraving, and I've actually been planning. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually engrave one, an illuminated one, so it lights from underneath, and then just use it with a glass.
You could actually make money selling those too, because
Yeah,
people
but
are buying them.
the engraving's a lot of hard work because I engrave by hand, so
Oh gosh. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
it'll be a work of art when it's finished.
Sam, I don't even call out to spirits in sessions because that's an assumption that most fall for.
Exactly
Oh,
so.
yeah, I was actually talking to Brett about that earlier, and I said, the last couple of videos that I did after watching your stuff, Sam, I've actually been steering clear of that and kind of going into other questions when I do ask them. And, is there any entity that would like to talk? Whether, whatever it be, anything in the paranormal or aliens or anything.
Hmm.
So,
Because we've got no guarantees what you're communicating with,
exactly.
none whatsoever.
There could be another Earth out there in the galaxy somewhere that they have far better technology, and
Hmm.
that's how they talk to us. I mean, who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah.
You know,
big world.
it could also explain why a lot of these so-called spirit communications, that when like when people are so apparently communicating with people they know,
Mm.
you know, and then the information comes through and some of it's accurate and some of it ain't.
Yep.
Who's to say it ain't something or somebody who has access to information on a person and is just mimicking that person? They may, you know, it may not even, it could be somebody from an alternate dimension.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, I noticed. I watched Sam's. I haven't finished it yet. Her latest video where she was reacting to. I can't remember his name. The other fellow that she watches, and I went over to his channel to have a look at his reaction, and he had a video where he was doing a box session, I think, with a Roberts radio, and he was getting the name Ed come through, which is the same name that Sam had
Hmm.
come through.
Yeah.
So that's interesting too.
Well, if you remember, we had that really interesting session where it was talking about them being some kind of union or group, if you remember, with a head on. Remember?
Oh yeah, they kept saying the four or something.
Yeah, they kept saying they were a group
Yeah.
who communicated as like a group of people.
Oh, we should have continued with that. If we do another session, we have to continue with that.
Yeah.
That'd be brilliant. Yeah.
Dedra said they showed up after her cousin and I did the Bloody Mary thing at 1 a.m. in her grandparents' bedroom. That is one urban legend I've never tried. I think that is more of an American thing, Bloody Mary.
When I was a teenager, I did that with a couple of friends at a sleepover, and we didn't have anything happen.
Yeah. It's one of the more scary urban legends.
Yeah, especially when you're a teen.
But the thing, again, bringing it back to paranormal, who's to say that urgent level? You know, we don't know how the paranormal works. You don't know how the human mind works. Who's to say that if somebody has got a belief enough in something they're doing, that their mind or whatever cannot conjure it up and bring it into being? We just don't
Mm.
know.
Well, that comes into our experiment that we did too, our Philip experiment,
Yeah.
and we actually started getting some of
Cole
the
started to get,
names. Yeah,
Sam started to get Cole come through the spirit box.
yeah, yep. And I thought that was really interesting. Phantasma Paranormal, that's the one, and Paranormal Tedium. How do we know they're spirits, though? That may be an assumption that most fall for. I actually don't even label them anymore. Like a reset of my mind and clearing my head from belief. My communicator said a number of times that they're alive and I'm dead, but in the future I will be alive also, which is opposite to our current assumption.
Yeah, exactly. You know, who's to say that? You know, if when we die, obviously the physical body decays, but the part of us that makes us who we are is not a physical thing. It's an energy thing. Who's to say that when the physical body dies, we don't pass on to a level of existence which is considered life to the vast majority of everything else? So while you're physically
Mm.
alive, you may actually be dead to the majority of things that are existing on an energy level, because an energy level is an higher existence plane than the physical plane, obviously, because the physical decays, but energy can't be destroyed. So once we convert back from, you know, because your consciousness and something which is made up of energy, even if it's just, you know, electrical impulses in the brain, it's still energy. That energy has got to go somewhere.
Yeah, it does.
You know, so if that energy maintains itself in some way and we pass into a fully energy type realm, then we're eternal, because, you know, energy cannot be destroyed,
Yeah, exactly.
only altered. You know, so technically, I suppose to anything that exists on an energy level, we are technically dead because we're going to be so short-lived in the physical form.
Oh, someone's whistling at you. I heard that wolf whistle.
Even if we manage to live hundreds of years compared to living forever as energy, it's an eye blink. And maybe that's why they've said to Sam that you become alive in the future once you actually shed the physical side of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I always kind of believe that. I read a book many years ago, and I can never remember the name of this book, but it was a psychiatrist who started doing um, hypnotherapy, and he took one of his patients too far back and did a past life regression.
Mm-hmm.
And through his studies doing past life regression, he was able to hear from many different people that had no connection that when we die in this lifetime, our soul, if you will, is like an energy source, and it goes back to this place of energy that we come from.
Yeah,
And
I
when you
saw.
go back there, you remember everything, but when you
Mm-hmm.
come back and reincarnate, you cannot bring those memories with you.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
exactly what I believe. That when you
Mm.
die, I think we're all part of one. I suppose super conscious, for a better word.
Yeah.
And that when you die, you go back into it. But I believe, even though you become part of this bigger whole, rather like a hive mind, I suppose, if you want to think about it that way, you still retain your individuality.
Yep.
So and we're all part of this one big massive conscious that is sending out little bits of itself to learn, basically. And that is what I think, for me personally, that's my version of existence.
Jazzy said, like people that take their own life wonder if they get a choice to stay or just to move on. I don't think that we get stuck here.
No, I don't. And
No.
and I don't believe the religious dogma that you're going to be punished if, God forbid, I wouldn't want anybody ever to do it, but I don't think that anybody, because I know people who've lost loved ones that way
Mm.
have been, they've been affected for years after, saying, because of their religious beliefs, my relative is damned for all time. And, I don't believe that. I honestly
No.
do not believe that.
No.
Yeah, Mr. D, Lex, that's exactly what I think. And I honestly think in terms of reincarnation, I think you choose to put yourself in the situations you put yourself into to come back. I think you choose what life lessons you want to learn this time around, and then you just keep coming round and round and round till you've learned all you need to know, and then there's
Yep.
no need to come back.
Absolutely. See you, Fairy. Thank you for coming in.
See you, Vero. That's just
Yeah.
my belief on it.
No, no, I do actually believe the same thing too. I think that we all come here to learn lessons, whatever they may be, and if you don't learn them, then you come back, as you said, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's loads of examples of people who claim to have memories of past lives, Sam, who have actually got marks on the body that relate to marks that occurred to them. Like if they got shot, they were died from a gunshot wound, or they were, run through with a sword or whatever, and they remember that life and die in that way, and then have come back the next time and they've got strange birthmarks and stuff, it literally in the shape of bullet holes and all sorts of things. I don't know whether I'd want to know about my past lives or not.
It's kind of funny that you say that too, because I always had a birthmark. It's like a little round, pale brown kind of birthmark on my leg on the inner thigh.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I got shot in the leg and bled to death or something.
Yeah,
You never know.
yeah.
And my son, I don't know whether this is to do with past lives or anything. He was born with a stork's mark on the back of the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
over here, Dedra, in Victorian times, they used to bury bodies with a bell above ground because it was very, believe it or not, in Victorian times, it was very common for them to misdiagnose somebody as dead, buried them, and then the people have actually revived after they've been buried. There have been endless counts of coffins from Victorian era being opened up, and there's been scratch marks on the lids where people have come round once they've been buried and they've literally suffocated in the coffin. And that was why they used, people were buried with a bell, so if they came round they could ring it and get dug back up. That was actually quite common in Victorian times. That's where the term, I don't know if you've ever heard the term saved by the bell. See, a lot of people think that relates to boxing. It doesn't. It actually relates to being buried alive in Victorian times.
Yep.
That is where the original saying comes from.
Hey, Seago. You see that in the Nun movie. All the gravestones, they've got little bells on them with ropes attached.
It was quite common to be buried with a little bit with a string fed into the coffin and tied to the finger, and then the bell would be above ground at the foot of the grave, and they could ring it if they came round, because there was thousands of people buried alive. They were either comatose or whatever, and actually came round naturally, and they were underground in coffins.
Yeah, well, I guess if they had like a weak pulse and they couldn't find a pulse, or
I want to be cremated as well, Jess.
Me too.
I'd rather make sure, because I'm claustrophobic. That would be my ultimate terror, to wake up knowing I'm 6 foot underground in a small wooden box.
Yeah, I always said that the only way that I wouldn't like to die would be to either drown or to suffocate. I think that would be horrendous. Yeah, I want to get cremated, and I said to my kids and that, I said, just take me somewhere and bury a tree on top of me.
I want to be sprinkled in the river.
Oh. A certain river?
No, just any river. Preferably the Severn, but, I'll be happy in any river.
The Severn?
The River Severn.
Where's that?
It flows from Wales through the Midlands down to Bristol.
Okay. That'd be beautiful.
Yeah, spent a lot of happy. I got a lot of happy childhood memories fishing the River Severn. So that'd be where I'd want to be sprinkled. So I'd end up in the dirt. I'd end up in the dirty Bristol Channel eventually.
Yeah, you will. Seago said he wants to get himself shot into space. Yeah, I think eventually, for anyone, unfortunately, anyone who's buried, there will come a time when they're going to run out of space. I mean, it's already happening.
It's like you hear of these people who cryogenically, rich people who have their heads cryogenically stored after they've died, so that that they're hoping that in the future science has got some way of reattaching a head back onto a body. And
oh God. Oh.
There's cryogenics is a really weird area to get into.
If you had the choice to be cryogenically frozen until they found some kind of a cure for an ailment that you had, even if it was 50 or 100 years, would you be frozen in order to come back healthy, or would you just want to die?
I wouldn't want to come back to an era where all my, where Jay probably wouldn't be around now, or Jace wouldn't be, you'd have no living friends or relatives that you know. I wouldn't want to come back to that.
And I think you get to the point where you're at a certain age where you're like, I don't want to come back and just be miserable again. I've lived my life and I'm happy with, if I go now.
Yeah. And if there is a process after to better yourself, would you really want to prevent a process from happening? Because you'd literally be stunting your own development in the long term, wouldn't you? If you think about it.
You would, yeah, and just for the sake of like fixing a part of your body that's broken, but what
Yeah,
about, mentally and everything
exactly,
else? Yeah,
exactly.
it's so not worth it.
Yeah, it's exactly the same reason why I wouldn't want to do it, Jazz. Why? Why would I want to come back to be a
Mm.
complete stranger to everybody on the planet?
Mr. Deal, don't they just bury people on top of old graves after 100 years? Do
It's
they do
not.
that in the UK?
Yeah, it's not even 100 years. We back in the Midlands, we've actually got a family grave. Um, my grandparents are buried in it.
Hmm.
One of my uncles is buried in it. Two of my brothers and my sister are buried in it. Um, I believe now that my mother and my mum and dad will be able to be buried in it because it has to be left. I believe it's 10 years before they can use it again. And my granddad died 20 odd years ago, so the grave is now free to use again.
Is that because they I forget what they call it. When somebody's been buried and then they reuse the grave, they actually collect the bones and put them into a smaller box and put them below whoever's buried on top. Do they do that or?
No, with our family grave because you actually own the plot. You actually own
Yep.
the piece of land, the little square block of where you're buried. So basically, it's just to let the coffin and stuff rot down.
Ah,
It is
okay.
literally it's literally as crass as waiting for space.
Yep.
But if any of us are cremated, we could actually be, they can lift because the grave's covered by a big marble sarcophagus type thing, our family grave, and they just lift it off and then they can put the ashes in if we get cremated. But if anybody wants to go in a coffin, they have to wait the 10 years to make sure the last coffin's rotted down and stuff.
Ah, that makes sense. Yep. I think where my grandfather is buried, he's buried. I can't remember the name. One of the really big cemeteries in Sydney, right on the shoreline of the ocean,
Hmm.
and it's a family plot like that. And I think that there's at least 8 of them in this one. It's like a double space. Over here,
Yeah,
you just get like enough to fit yourself in there,
yeah,
and they can bury so many on top of each other.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it's. You can buy bigger plots over here, obviously, but it's more standard just to buy a grave sized, you know, plot,
Mm.
and then you just get stacked on top of one another over the years. Is how
Yeah.
it works. But when the last burial we had in the family grave was my granddad in, I think it was 1989, 88, 89. They literally just, because our grave is like, it's built, it's like a layer of stone
Yep.
bricks, and then there's a big black marble lid, is the best way of describing it, and a black marble tombstone thing at the end. And all they did was they dismantled all the bricks at the front of the grave and slid the coffin into the hole, and then bricked it back up.
So is that your dad or your mum's side?
Mum's side,
And is your mum living?
unfortunately.
So will she be buried with them when she goes?
Yeah,
She will. Okay.
yeah, because her mom and dad are buried there.
Yep.
One brother's buried there. Her other brother's buried in the same graveyard, but he died before my nan bought the family plot because it was my nan who bought it.
Yep.
Um, and like I say, two of my brothers and my sister are buried in there as well.
Oh, of course, yes. You
So
want to be buried with them.
shit, yeah. So they'll dump the old cow in there, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, do you think that going to a gravestone to visit that person, that their spirit is there always?
No.
No. No, I think that they're up there and they can come back at any time, and you can visit them anywhere. They could visit you in your lounge room. It,
See,
it just
I don't even think they're up there, sort of thing. I think they're just everywhere.
Yeah, just wherever they are, yeah. And they can go anywhere. They don't have to only go to their grave or whatever.
I think graveyards are just there, one, to stop disease spreading, because obviously you don't want dead bodies lying around everywhere, and
Yep.
you know, you ain't allowed to bury people in your back garden anymore unless you're a murderer or get special permission.
Oh god.
And you know, graveyards are more for the living than the dead, as far as
Yeah,
I'm concerned.
a place for us to grieve.
Yeah,
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 I agree. That's why I said, when I die, just bury me, plant a tree and stick my ashes in the bottom, and then the
yeah,
kids can at least go and sit under the tree or something to talk to me,
yeah. It's
with
like
their peace.
where I live, the nearest city to me, which is about 9 miles away, is Sheffield,
Yep.
and there were a lot of plague pits dug in Sheffield. Unfortunately, right under the location of what is now one of the main high streets in Sheffield city centre. So basically, if they have to dig the pavements up to do any cable laying or anything like that, they have to they have to do it specially. They have to fence it all off because a lot of the bodies in the plague pit are only 3-4 feet under the ground.
Oh, you're
So
kidding.
yeah, so they actually start digging up human bones from plague times.
From like
There
the
is a,
Black Plague.
yeah, there is
Oh,
actually there's actually a very famous location in Sheffield on where there's an alleyway that runs between some shops uh, in Sheffield city centre, and there have been numerous reports of ghostly hands coming up through the pavement, and
oh,
it's been witnessed numerous times by various people walking through the alley, and ghostly arms have come up through the pavement.
oh, wow.
It's a very well known alleyway in Sheffield.
Imagine going to do an
Hmm.
investigation there.
Yeah, but oddly enough, one of the biggest plague pits is situated right outside what is now Boots, which is one of the biggest chemists in the country, chemist chains in the country. So if ever they literally, if they have to dig any of Sheffield city centre up, they have to fence off the entire area because while they're doing, there's human bones and everything on display. Because there's thousands buried in the plague pits, and they're about 4 feet down at the most.
That's kind of ironic, isn't it? There's
Yeah,
one of the most famous plague pits, and they put a chemist there.
yeah,
It's like rubbing their nose in it.
yeah.
Oh
You
my
literally
god.
you literally walk over the plague pit to go in and out of Boots.
Oh my god. I actually saw a picture or a video online recently. I think it was a picture, and it said it was one of the oldest streets in the UK, and it
Yeah,
had, the really old style stone buildings with the wooden architecture on
yeah.
them, and then the
Shoot,
cobbled
shoot,
street.
Tudor style.
Yeah, yeah, like the
Yeah,
Tudor homes.
yeah.
God, it was beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of those in Stratford, obviously, because of Shakespeare and that. Like, they preserved a lot of the buildings in Stratford. Stratford is famous for the Tudor style buildings.
Oh
It was
wow.
probably Stratford, a street in Stratford they were showing.
Yeah, it probably was. That's beautiful. What Mandy say? Graveyards are for the living. Yes, they are. Uh, oh, Deidre said, the recent tornado in Galveston Island, Texas, the hurricane they had there recently, there were a lot of coffins got washed up out of the ground and were floating around in the floodwaters.
Yeah, well,
Oh my God.
if that is why if you go to New Orleans, all their graves are literally 6 foot above ground. They're like Colosseum type things because in New Orleans, if the Mississippi floods,
Yep.
all the graves used to rise up out of the ground. So they all they're quite famous voodoo location graveyards in New Orleans, and
Yep.
they're all literally have to be above the water level for that reason because New Orleans is built on one of the Mississippi floodplains. If they bury them underground, they literally rise up out the soil when the Mississippi floods.
It reminds me of I don't know if anyone remembers. I a very long time ago did a video at Queanbeyan at the Riverside Cemetery, and I showed the story back in I believe it was the 1940s or 50s or something. They had a flood go through Queanbeyan, and the side part of the cemetery got washed away where the river is.
Yeah.
And they came down after the flood, and there were coffins hanging out and bodies all over the side of the cemetery. And they reckon that they were picking up bodies and coffins way down in Canberra in the river, which was miles away. Yeah. Crazy.
And then the thing is, then you've got all the trouble of water pollution and stuff to deal with after that, because obviously corpses in the water is not going to be good for the quality of the water supply.
Nope. They never found all of them. Sam said, in regard to the streets there in the UK, some of these visions look like their knees down are in the ground, but it's because the street has been raised over the years.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of famous sightings over here in the UK of things like Roman legionnaires, the legions marching down, because we still got a lot of old Roman roads over here, and they're literally marching at like knee height because the ground has come up a couple of feet since the Roman roads were there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there's quite a few well-known sites over here where that happens. Same reason why ghosts are famous for walking through walls and stuff like that. It's not because they're actually walking through walls. I think a lot of the time it's a residual haunting, and they're actually walking through somewhere where there used to be a doorway. So it looks like they're walking through a solid wall when in fact there used to be a doorway there.
Yeah, they're just following the path.
Yeah.
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 After the tsunami in Japan, taxi drivers reported the unseen getting into their cars, partly showing themselves as they were driving along. Oh my God.
We've got a very famous stretch of road not far from here where I live, about 20 minutes drive away, called the Stockwell Bypass. And it's actually it's one of the most famous ghost sites in the country for the fact the ghost actually appeared to policemen in their police car. And it's actually, believe it or not, a black monk. It's a guy in a black cowl, and he appeared to two police officers. Apparently, he appeared to the one on the driver's side, and then literally reappeared instantly the other side of the car and started staring in at the other one. So it's a really famous case. But there have been numerous accidents along the Stockwell bypass because this monk has also got a nasty habit of teleporting into the back seat of people's cars as they're travelling 60 miles an hour down the Stockwell bypass.
Oh my God. That'd be like us as ghosts.
Yeah, it is one of the most well-known hauntings in the country, the Stockwell.
Oh my God!
Monk, because he actually materialises in the back seat of cars. Now, over here in the UK, the speed limit on dual carriageways is 60 miles an hour, and people are tearing down this Stockwell bypass at 60 miles an hour. Suddenly, look up and in the rearview mirror, there's a guy in a black cloud sitting in the back seat. So you can imagine how many accidents have actually occurred on the Stockwell bypass because of this ghost.
Oh my God. That's about 100 kilometres an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite. Alexa, how fast is 60 miles per hour in kilometres?
60 miles per hour is about 97 kilometres per hour.
97 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, close.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. Please say that again.
Alexa, stop. But yeah, it's really famous, the Stockwell bypass.
Jeez. It's amazing how many ghost stories there are out in the world, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually like the hitchhiker type ones because the majority of hitchhiker type reportings tend to be more of an intelligent type. They're not. Um, they can't be residual because they basically flag down cars and interact with. They don't always speak to people. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but they do actually interact with drivers and stuff. And there's numerous cases of it over here, and there probably is over in Australia as well, where people actually pick up people late at night, start to take them somewhere, and then halfway through the journey they turn to look at them and they're no longer there.
Yeah, we've got a couple of them. I know that there's at least one in Sydney, and there's one just outside of Canberra as well. So. No one does 60 miles per hour on a dual carriageway here, by the way.
No, they do at least 70.
Yeah. Well, over here, if you're out on the highway, which I guess would be the same as your carriageway, it's 110 kilometres per hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably our equivalent of motorways.
Yeah.
See, we've got normal roads which normally have a speed limit of in built up areas is normally 30.
Yeah.
Then country roads it can be anything from 40 to 50. Then they're normally single carriageway, so you've got one carriageway going each direction. Then you've got dual carriageways where are two lanes each. That's why they're called dual carriageway. You've got 2 lanes going either direction, and the speed limit on them is 60. And then you got the motorways, which are like 3 lanes, sometimes 4 lanes, and then there's 70 on them. 70 miles an hour.
Okay. I think that I know of, but I haven't been all over Australia. The only place I've seen what you call motorways is like 3 lanes or more would be around Sydney.
Yeah. Well, all our major cities are interconnected by motorways.
Jazzy is seeing a face behind me. Well, there's just windows behind me, Jazzy. It's probably pareidolia because of the lights.
Sam's got one there of a Catholic priest with an hitchhiker. Hitchhiker reports are, like I say, are really interesting because they do show all the characteristics of intelligent hauntings rather than residual.
Yeah. I've been waiting for Sam to go back to that place. She went there recently. You know, the one where they reenact the soldiers and all of that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And Sam went into that 2-story place, and apparently you can hear children playing and stuff in there. Yeah.
Well, Stockwell's got a second ghost sighting of children just off the side of the carriageway itself. It's quite a famous place because it's got 2 very famous ghosts, and it's also got a barghast report. Now, I don't know how many people know what a barghast is, but a barghast is basically an elemental. What most people would refer to as a devil dog with the black coat and red eyes. But there's a barghast at Stockwell bypass, but there's also obviously the Black Monk is the most famous because he's the one who likes to take rides up and down the dual carriageway.
Yeah.
But there's also a reporting there's the electricity pylons, as they normally do in this country, run along the lines of the roads. And there is a circle of children who actually form a ring and sing Ring a Ring of Roses under one of the pylons. And that they've been witnessed numerous times as well.
Do you think that dates back to early British times?
They think it's connected to there was a cart accident in the area back in the Industrial Revolution times. Apparently, a cart went out of control and ploughed through a load of children and killed a lot of them. And that's what they believe started that one off. But that one seems to be more residual than the monk. the monk tends to be more of an intelligent haunting. That the kids singing Ring of Roses is more of a residual type one. But they're still seeing, even now, they're still seeing quite regular.
Sam said, I'm actually looking into a hitchhiker case and have been to a pub in the area. They believe they get activity as well. The case here involved a driver who is a Catholic priest. That's the one you read, I think. The problem with my case is there's two dates, 1981 and 1967, which makes me very skeptical even with written stories. See, do you remember when I went to the cemetery in South Australia, the haunted one, at night time up there? Now, when I was up there, I was told by other people and read online that there was a woman in white that was seen walking across the road and that, but nobody would ever see her. It was only an old story.
Yeah.
Now, after I did a lot of deep digging, I found out that the lady in white story was actually made up. It is not actually a real sighting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's worthwhile digging into it.
Yeah. There's a famous white lady story from where I come from, back in the Midlands, and
Yep.
she is actually seen quite regularly. And she's at a place called Imley Hall, which was a 10 minutes drive from where I used to live.
Yep.
And she married a nobleman who was, owner of Imley Hall at the time. But she came from common ancestry. She wasn't part of the nobility when she married into the family. And she always insisted that she wanted to be buried in the commoners' cemetery, because there's two cemeteries that are split by the road that runs alongside the estate. There's the cemetery actually in the estate, which is where all the nobility of all lived, and then opposite side is the common, what they call the commoners' graveyard, where all the residents of Imley village are buried. And they buried her in the nobility one, and she wanted to be buried in the common one. And even to this day, there are always skid marks outside on the road outside the estate, where this woman walks across the road from the noble cemetery to the common cemetery at night, and people driving down the road have actually mistook her for a real person and slammed the brakes on to avoid hitting her. And even to this day, I could guarantee now, if I went down that road, there would be skid marks on that road for where somebody has slammed the brakes on as she's crossed the road.
I mean, they wouldn't do it now, but could you imagine? That would be a good test, actually. If they ever had have moved her to the commoners section, would her spirit stop showing up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she even to this day, she's still regularly seen crossing the road.
Bragline Road in Texas, there's a ghost that walks carrying a lantern. The light from it swings back and forth. A railroad person had slipped and fell, leaving his head across the track, and a train came and cut his head off.
Yep. I've seen numerous YouTube videos on that, Julie, and there's actually videos on YouTube where you can see the lantern in the distance, whether it's, them doing it or not. But apparently it's one of those hauntings where, you've got a very high chance of witnessing the phenomena if you go there and look for yourself. Apparently that guy with the lantern is seen very, very frequently.
That's pretty cool. Hello, Jackie Evelyn.
Hi, Jackie.
Oh, here we go. Yulee Cemetery. Interesting. We have since found out about a woman seen near Yulee Cemetery. Done heaps of research since we spoke, Julie. We'll message you about it. That's the one I was talking about, Tracy. I actually did a lot of research on that, and from what I found, there was a couple of fellas who were walking home drunk one night and thought it'd be funny to make up a story about a woman in white being seen, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. But yeah, message me, tell me what you found.
Yeah, but then it brings into question, does it get to the point where if enough belief is generated, things start happening? Because that in itself could be a paranormal occurrence.
Mm-hmm. Very well could be. Yeah, that's a nasty place, that Ely Cemetery. I actually really like the cemeteries that you guys have got in the UK. I've watched a few channels that are UK based, and they do wanders at night around certain little cemeteries and that, and they're just unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
London has got some really nice ones. The one where Karl Marx is buried has got quite a few famous ghosts that are sightings that are apparently occurring. That one, and that one's got like a big circular coliseum in the centre of it with mausoleums all around it. That beautiful cemetery that one is.
That'd be beautiful. I do like, you guys have a lot of like really old architecture. There's one really old, it's a shame too. There's one really old building, and I think it was a hospital or something like that, and it was massive. It was 3 or 4 stories tall, and it went round in a kind of a shape like that. And there were quite a few groups on YouTube that used to go in and explore this place until people started lighting fires and vandalizing, and that's what they do here. And then you get locked out, or
we've got a few cemeteries around here, but we have to be very careful now because there was a very large UK paranormal channel, and I'll use the term loosely, who started to charge people to take them into the graveyard to do streams on a night, so they'd appear on his streams, and he was charging them. And the church found out, and then they issued a statement basically banning anybody out of the cemeteries around here in Rotherham with spirit boxes or anything, under threat of prosecution if you're caught in there with one.
It's always those few.
Mm-hmm.
Always. I guess that's the good thing about the smaller country towns and that here. As long as you're doing the right thing, you can go in at night time or any other time, and you kind of get left alone. But if you go into Canberra or Sydney, they lock them up at night. You can't go in. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam. Oh, I'm so glad Sam's here. I can go and grab me a coffee now. Back in a minute.
Yeah, go for it.
Hello, I'm just getting volume.
That's all right.
I don't have a lot of volume here, so I just sort of technical issues.
That's all right. Yeah, me too, Seago. Seago says I was raised to leave places in better condition than I found it. Definitely. I can hear Brett making his cover. You crack me up, Sam. I was watching a couple of your videos recently. And there was one in particular, you had me rolling around. I had tears coming out my eyes. It was hilarious. I'll actually... Oh, all you guys probably already have Sam and Brett, but I'll drop their links. You're getting tired, Jazzy. I've been like that recently too. Go to bed early. Yeah, Sam's got it muted because she's just fixing up her volume and that. Life after life. There's this one video of Sam's, and I was cracking up laughing. I'll see if I can find it. Hang on. Oh, it might be on her other channel, is it? Oh no. Something holy. If you go over to Sam's channel, you have to watch this video called Something Holy. Oh, you'll be guaranteed to crack up. I was rolling on the floor laughing. Okay. I'll leave that in there. Then we'll get Brett's. There we are. I'm doing it on my phone because it's easier. Sleep apnea. They wanted to test me for that years ago because sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and it was almost like I was holding my breath. And they're like, oh, you might have sleep apnea. And I was like, okay. Oh, Sam must have had some issues with her connection. She will be back momentarily. Kid wakes me up at 6. Oh, when I was at my dad's, it almost killed me. The girls caught the school bus for a week. So I got up, oh, and the dog would come in and jump on me at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So then I'd have to get up at 6 o'clock and the girls had to be on the bus by 8. So, yeah, little bugger. Sam will be back. I've been watching the Stranger Things show recently, and I've had that song stuck in my head running up that hill. That's all right, Sam. We definitely have to do a get together soon. Definitely. Julie, what have you been up to? This week I've been trying to keep warm. We got back home on Monday afternoon. I'd spent 9 days out at my dad's place on his property, feeding horses and chasing sheep around.
Naked sunbathing.
No, not with our weather. Jeez, I'd come inside with purple skin. Scare the sheep away. Oh, it's funny. They've got this little long-haired chihuahua, and he thinks he's a big dog. So he'll run up.
All chihuahuas think they're big dogs.
Yeah. If anyone's watched that vlog, he runs up the inside of the yard fence, and he'll stand there barking at the sheep, thinking he's hurting them. It has been bloody freezing.
I've got back with my coffee and I just took 2 paracetamol, so trying to get rid of this headache.
Oh, you got a headache?
Well, these new meds they've put me on because I have to do. I've got what they call a GTN spray, which basically, when I get the chest pains, I spray it under my tongue, and it's called glycerin trinitrate. It's basically, believe it or not, very similar to the chemical formula of dynamite, literally.
Oh, gosh.
And because I'm getting these chest pains all the while now, they've put me on a slow tablet form, which I have to take on a morning, and they make me spaced out. But they also give me an headache, like the GTN spray does. But unlike the GTN spray, which wears off really quickly, this is slow releasing all day long, so I have an headache all day long if I don't manage to knock it on the head. Believe it or not, Julie, it's almost exactly. I don't know if have you ever heard of poppers?
Poppers.
Yeah. Right.
No.
Poppers are the stuff you can buy in a little bottle that are used for adult fun, shall we say?
Oh, okay.
and basically this GTN is almost the same thing. So that's what gives you the spaced out feeling all day long.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do you know what a popper is over here in Australia?
Yeah, go on.
A juice box. Literally, it's a juice box. We call them poppers. So you go to the UK, oh, do you have
Well,
a shop that has poppers in it?
if ever you do come over to the UK, do not go in a shop, start asking for poppers.
They'll be like,
Unless you go in somewhere like Ann Summers.
oh my God. The difference in language, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't win either way. You need this stuff to actually
Yeah.
help your heart, but it gives you headaches and things.
Yeah, basically.
That's all right, Jazzy. You go and get some rest, sweetie.
Have a good night, Jazz.
Yeah, have a good night's sleep, doll. Tara said, have both of you ever experienced any UFO-like incidents or seen any evidence?
Yes. If you remember, Jay's mom came on the channel the one night to discuss that. And I don't know whether it was an alien spacecraft, but we saw an orange ball of light that flew over the houses and what's it. If you remember, Julie came on the channel the one night to confirm the story. Can you remember the night we did it?
Oh yeah, she was in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in, and that was reported in the newspaper. It was seen all over the area, but that's the one and only time I've ever seen anything that could be described as a UFO.
I actually saw a ship, a UFO ship, and I know that, like, I remember it so clearly, and I was only about 7 years old, and we lived in this little house in the middle of nowhere. It was called Kingsvale, and our parents had gone out for the night, so our older sisters were babysitting us, and we were watching a movie, and someone had seen it through the window and said, oh my God, what's that? So we all got up and we looked, and it was just kind of in the one spot. And we all knew what it was because everybody reads the stories in the paper. So we all scattered around the lounge room, and I'm sitting on the lounge like a stunned mullet, couldn't move. And I asked Tammy recently, my sister, and I said, do you remember that incident we saw out the lounge room window at Kingsvale?
And I'm back in a second.
Okay. And yeah, she told me. She remembered it, and she told me the exact story, same as mine, without me telling her what my story was. So that confirmed it for me. Julie would spend a fortune with Ann Summers. What is Ann Summers? Is it like an adult shop or something? Not that I would. I have no idea. My granddad once told me he saw a spaceship in Saudi Arabia. He used to be an engineer and often worked abroad. Said he saw it close enough to see the intricate details on the bottom of the ship. Wow, okay. No, it wasn't that close for me. It was when you looked out the window, you could see it in the sky, and because it had lights on it, you know, as it does, you could see the shape of it, but it was far enough away that it was quite smaller, like it wasn't close or anything. Yeah, I'm definitely a believer too, Tara. Definitely. There's got to be more out there than just us. Especially lately, there's a lot more sightings of UFOs and things. And if you think about it, there's so much of the world that we haven't yet explored, especially the oceans. I mean, if they wanted to hide somewhere, the ocean would be the perfect place. When I was 9, me and about 10 other family members, including my parents and grandparents, saw it along with a lot of neighbours. Sam, I'm actually working on interviewing a person who's seen a UFO in the Donegal area. I sort of researched, it was reported that it did happen, but I'll keep info to myself. Yeah, definitely, Sam.
Sorry, Jace wanted the shopping list.
That's all right. We were just talking about UFOs. Sam's actually got a story in the works, which should be good.
Well, I actually live in what's known as UFO Alley in the UK, and
really?
it's a stretch that runs runs literally the complete length of the Pennines from literally from Scotland right the way down. So, and we've got some really famous UFO cases up here in Yorkshire, and one again involving a police officer.
Jeez.
But if you remember, the only thing I've seen that was, remember that light I told you about that I saw the one night when I was having a smoke on the front door?
Yep.
That's the only weird thing I've ever seen here, and it stayed there for 3 hours in the same space. And I honestly thought it was a drone because it looked like it was a blue and red light. And I thought, oh, somebody's, and it was at night, obviously it was like 9-10 o'clock. And I thought, oh, it's a drone or something. But it was there for 3 hours in exactly the same position. Because I wondered if it was like a star or whatever, and I thought maybe it's a star. So I kept going out and checking it, but it was in exactly the same position for 3 hours. And then when I went out the last time, it had gone.
Yeah, there's no drone.
All I could see of that was literally, it just looked like a blue and red light twinkling in the distance up in the sky. But that one I saw when I was with Jay's mum, that actually flew right over the top of us. And that was reported all over the Midlands that night.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It just goes to it makes you think, a lot of people have seen different lights on them. Sometimes they're different shapes and things. Makes you wonder if they do that deliberately to try and blend in.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we do, Seago. I don't even think an helicopter would be able to hover for 3 hours.
Not for that long, surely. Is that the ice cream man?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's coming twice a day at the moment because it's summer.
I haven't heard or seen an ice cream man for so long.
Yeah, it's the ice cream man.
We used to have one everywhere here, but not anymore. I don't think we have anyone where I live. We had a UFO case at Shannon Airport. The audio from ground control to the pilot can be found on YouTube. Oh, okay.
That's where I always have Sam with a flake and sprinkles.
Oh, they were the days, weren't they? I don't know what I'd get. I don't know if they still have the same ice creams or if they're different. Is it still like the soft serve ice cream?
Yeah, it's like the white creamy stuff, and then it comes out that it's like a lever, and it goes into the corner in a swirl. Looks like a dog turd.
Yeah, like a poop. Like an amber turd.
Yeah, an amber turd.
Oh, that was a saga and a half, that one.
Oh, look on the bright side. She might be coming back to Australia soon.
We don't want her.
You do? For perjury, apparently.
Oh, oh, they're nailing her for that, are they?
Yep.
Is that the dog thing or something
Yeah,
else?
she's back under investigation for the dog thing now because it basically came out in the trial that she'd lied at the to the Australian government.
Oh, so they got evidence.
Yep.
Oh, she's in big trouble for that.
Yeah.
Actually, she could find herself in hot water
Yeah.
because if they can prove, if they have enough proof that she actually cut his finger off with a bottle, that's considered a weapon over here.
Yeah, well, they did prove it. They did prove it.
Yeah, so they could get her for that too while she's
Yeah,
over
but
here if they wanted.
it's the dogs they're doing it for because it's almost like being an eco-terrorist, isn't it? Because of the Australian environment.
Yep, they take that very seriously.
Well, the case, your government has apparently reopened the case.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, and apparently there's talk that they're reopening the case over here as well because she committed perjury over here as well in the trial that she had with him with the son.
Okay, so what are they going to have her for? Like
perjury, lying about him domestically abusing her.
Oh,
So,
yeah, because they were talking about that because there was a lot of evidence that he wasn't allowed to share.
Yeah, well, he did it in the. I don't know if you follow. I followed the trial all the way through.
Oh, I watched everyone.
Yeah, that it. So you know what came to light. So basically, the Australian government have opened the case up again regarding bringing the dogs illegally into Australia, and they're also now looking into, and apparently that's with FBI assistance, the Australia case, and
Wow.
and over here they're looking into doing it for perjury over here as well. So she's looking at perjury charges over in Australia and perjury charges here in the UK.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Good night, Tara. We'll probably do this again next week. I'll try and get back into the habit of doing it every week. So Saturday next week.
Good night, Tara.
Oh, that's brilliant. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Well, apparently it came out in the trial that she tried to blame it onto an assistant, that an assistant had forgot to do something regarding registering the dogs. And now the assistant has come forward and said, no, that's not true. And she actually knew she couldn't bring the dogs in and did anyway.
Oh. Yeah, I remember that because she was trying to say the assistant didn't put the paperwork in on time.
Yeah.
But then the assistant said no, she didn't put the paperwork in because she reckoned there wasn't enough time.
Yeah, she knew there wasn't enough time. So she just brought them anyway.
Oh. Ooh. Yeah, but they couldn't. Because Jerry was dead, they couldn't play that Seco. Yeah. I reckon that they should have been able to because he wasn't living. Maybe they should have still been able to admit that. Yeah, exactly, Tracy.
It was actually nice to see justice be done for once, and it, and I think it's been discussed in the last few weeks with Elaine, her lawyer, coming out and saying, "Oh, it's put back domestic violence for women and blah blah blah." It hasn't. It's done the exact opposite. Not only has it strengthened domestic violence women cases, it's also brought men's cases into light as well.
Yeah, exactly. I can, now that my mother's no longer here, I can remember incidents where this one incident, my parents had an argument, and my mother held a gun to my father. And I still remember that. She did it in front of us kids. Yeah. And then she called the police and said to them, oh, he had a gun to me. And my dad actually got into a lot of trouble over that. And so for somebody else who's been going through this and is a male, it's nice to see justice for the males that are going through this. And I don't think in any way it's going to affect the female victims out there. I
No.
think in some way, this is actually going to mean that no matter whether you're male or female, there is justice.
Yeah. You have a good
So-
night, Emma.
Good night, Mark and Annette. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, we have missed this, Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Sam said we need to get back to chatting more. It's been good, cracking, funny times. Did you watch Sam's video, the Holy something?
No.
Hang on, let me get the name of it.
The music one.
No. It's called Something Holy. And it's Sam, and she's kind of having, like she's radioing or interviewing or whatever, and she's talking to Huff and someone else. If you haven't listened to it, Brett, you got to go and listen to it.
I must have missed that one. I saw the one where she made him into a rap song. That one was funny.
No, this is another one. Hang on. What's up?
I got the hairpin. Mike has the red line around it.
Good job. I was rolling around on the floor. I had tears. I was laughing that much. This is bloody hilarious. You got to listen to it when you can. It's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. I'll watch it later.
Yeah. It's a couple of videos.
I don't know what's been going on with YouTube lately, because my YouTube changed. I don't know if yours has, but my layout of my YouTube changed again. Every so often it changes, and I ain't getting a lot of notices at the moment, and I don't know whether that's something to do with it. So
no, neither have I. And I noticed instead of like when, say, Sam, posts a video and I've got a couple of other subscribers that I'm subscribed to, they don't pop up. Instead, in my feed, it'll just show me videos that are popular.
Yeah, that's where them coming up in mine. I ain't getting the feed coming through saying, anybody's posted anything.
Yep.
And then sometimes it'll be the day after, I'll turn YouTube on and it'll be in the you may like to watch section.
Yeah, that's the same as mine. It shit a tease, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was funny, Dedra, when he asked one of his own witnesses a question and then objected to his own witness. That was hilarious.
That was funny.
It was the way the judge was so deadpan and went, "It's your own witness."
Oh, that Elaine got me. Oh, God love her.
Well, somebody's got to.
Oh, I'll tell you.
I've never seen such a lowbrow, the way they use lowbrow attacks constantly. That they were so hitting below the belt and then trying to claim that it was Johnny's team. And I thought, no, Johnny's team have been very professional the entire time. They were always respectful to the jury. They were always respectful to the judge. Elaine did nothing but argue. Every time the judge objected to something, Elaine started arguing with her.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I'm thinking, will you just shut up, woman? Because, you really you're not doing yourself any favours. And when she turned around and told that guy from TMZ, you're only doing this for your 15 minutes of fame, and he turned around and said, well, I could say the same about you for having Amber as a client.
Yeah, that was so good.
And she had the cheek to turn around and say, you're a very argumentative witness. I thought, you've been doing it to everybody who sat on this chair all day long.
See, this is one thing that you miss out on if you don't have other social media. And I know social media is a pain in the ass, but I've got TikTok and I was following all the TikToks going on.
Yeah.
And there was one where somebody ruffled through old footage of Johnny Depp showing up for one of the Captain, friggin' Captain Jack videos, right?
Yeah.
I think it may be number 2 or 3. And Elaine Brederhoft
Oh,
was
in the crowd,
in the crowd
with the
getting his
camera.
signature.
Yeah, that guy. That guy who was the concierge of the building when they were interviewing him in his car, and he starts vaping halfway through.
And then he starts driving while he's chatting.
Yeah.
Oh, that was hilarious.
And
He's
then,
like,
and
I've
then
had enough.
the guy who owned the caravan park, who was so obviously gay, it was funny. And she turned around to him and said, you know, did you ever wear a mesh vest? And he's like, God, no, I'd never wear a mesh vest.
Oh, some of the questions that they had, it was just ridiculous.
You have a good day, see you go. Otherwise, but when she sat on that stand and she gave her testimony, I don't normally get wound up by things, but I sat there, and the more I listened to her, the more it wound me up, because I was sitting there thinking, how dare you do this when there's people out there who've genuinely gone through this, and you're sitting there with your overacting and your really bad face pulling, taking the piss out of everybody who's actually had this happen to them.
Yep.
And the more I watched her, the more it wound me up. It really did.
Yeah, me too. Especially like right at the end, I'm so glad they had someone analyze those photos,
Yeah.
because all of them were like saved under some photo editing
Editor.
thing.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
saved, it was the iPhone's own video editor, I think it was done in.
Yep. And the bit where she's talking about, putting her makeup on and then using her bruise kit, and she goes,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Seago ain't going yet.
Oh, I thought you were going. And then what was the other one? Oh, I was clapping and cheering right near the end where
I
she
like
actually,
the bit when Camilla got her back on the stand, and she started to wind her up, and I thought, she's building up to push her to admit something here, and
she did.
she opened a big mouth and went, if I wanted to out him, I could have done it a lot better and leaked it a lot. What's it? And Camille straight away snapped back and said, I thought you testified earlier, you wouldn't have a clue how to leak information.
Exactly. And then she admitted to writing the op-ed about Johnny.
Well, she did that right at the start of a second testimony. I thought, you idiot. You've literally just ended your own case right at the beginning of your testimony.
Yep. And that gave Camilla, she was phenomenal in that court case, Camilla.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Did you see the TikTok of Ben Chu, Johnny's lawyer? And he's sitting there when Amber's on the stand and he goes...
Sticks his finger up at her. Yeah, Dedra, that was why it wound me up, because I just sat there thinking, there are so many genuine domestic abuse victims out there, and that woman is using an acting exercise to get money off somebody, off the backs of what is their pain. It was disgusting. Absolutely.
It was.
Disgusting. But what made it even better was when they actually played that clip from the recording when she went, you tell the world, Johnny, you tell the world that you're an abuse victim and a man. See who believes you. And I thought, all 7 jurors believed him.
Yep. All of them. Each and every freaking one.
Yeah, she's been made partner now. Well deserved.
Yeah, Camilla has, yeah.
Deserved.
I watched a couple of fellows on YouTube, and they actually went in and sat through a couple of days of the courtroom, and they were just watching the jury. And they said that, when she was on the stand, the jury was just kind of facing away from her and would only look every now and again. So,
to be honest
very
with
telling.
you, I think one of the things that really killed her the most was when Camille started questioning her about the charity donations. And she kept saying, I've pledged 7 million. And Camille says, no, I'm not asking what you've pledged. I'm asking what you've actually donated. Yeah. And she kept going, I've pledged 7 million. And she knows the difference between pledged and donated. And I think at that point, the jury realised this woman is a liar and will say whatever she thinks is going to say people, and constantly turning to the jury every time she answered a question. I sat there and I thought, if I was you, Camille, I'd turn around and say, talk to me when I ask you the question. Don't keep
Yep.
turning to look. That was really annoying. And the
Mhm.
way her face would be all happy and cheery, and the second she saw a camera on her or she turned to the jury, it was like an upside down rainbow. Ooh, the way her mouth went. Yeah.
Or she'd sit there with the head in the air. Oh,
And my dog stepped on a bee memes,
my
and
deck stopped on a bee.
they're gonna be famous forevermore now. That meme, my dog stepped on a bee.
I admit that I may have
Done one.
I may have like done part of one of those TikTok chains. Did someone say KFC? It was good.
Sam, I actually have been to a common law court case, which was interesting and scary at the same time. We were told not to stand for the judge. I thought we were all going to get arrested, lol.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you're
Oh,
gonna if you're gonna lie for 7 million, Seago, what ain't you gonna lie about? Let's be
yeah.
let's be honest.
Well, who was it? Was it her personal assistant came out and wrote a statement
The
to
one who she
say,
spat in her face. That one.
yeah, the one she spat in her face. She was the one that had the experience where she was held at knife point or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
and had all this stuff terrorized. So Amber turned around and used parts of her story
yeah,
as her own.
yeah. Well, we've just had a big trial over here between two famous footballers' wives,
Hmm.
and one of the accusations that was made was the one wife put something on her social media about microwaving the other one's baby. And then weeks later, Amber Heard suddenly starts claiming in court that people on social media were threatening to microwave a baby. So she pinched that off the WAG trial over here.
Mm.
Hang on, I've got a phone call back in a sec.
All right. Pledge 5 million to get myself more guitars. Oh, geez, wouldn't that be good? Reason she was answering the questions to the jury, she was trying to intimidate them into believing her lies. Yes, she was. Wasn't working though. They saw right through her, luckily. Hopefully, it'll all be over soon and she just leaves him alone and moves on with everything that they can both move on and he can actually rebuild his life. Found that so annoying. Yeah, Dr. Curry was a really good witness, wasn't she? The way that she worded everything and even talking about the different medical testing and things that they went through, you knew that she knew what she was talking about. I've only ever been put on the stand once, and I think I was only, I think I was only 10 years old. I bet she tried to blame JD for that because he sued her a year after she pledged the money. Oh, it was just ridiculous, wasn't it, Seago? Absolutely ridiculous. And then she's like, oh, but I had to pay my court costs. Yeah, but you've had like a year and a half you had the money for a year and a half before anything else happened. Yeah, I only had to do that once because my mother had assaulted my older sister, and they went to court, and my mother tried to get me to lie on the stand to have my sister charged with assault and that. And I got up there and I told the truth. I got a hiding later on from my mother, but yeah, my sister didn't get in trouble for something that she didn't do, so that was good. Life throws us lovely curveballs all the time, doesn't it? Yeah, I am going to be doing more regular lives. I'm going to be back now. And I'm going to start uploading some videos on this channel as well. As I said earlier, I've got a couple of spirit box sessions and things that I've done down at the little cemetery here that are kind of going in a bit of a different direction. So I'll upload them and I will be here every Saturday. Hey, Pocket Watch! And hopefully I can get maybe Brett and Sam if they're available, or I can be on their channel, whatever we do. But yeah, we have to start thinking about Halloween soon. Won't be that long until Halloween comes. Live streams are better anyway at this time of year. It's too cold to go out anywhere. At night time, if I went out even for half an hour, I'd probably end up sick. It's terrible. Not far? You mean the cemetery? Cemetery is not far. It's only about 5 minutes away. Quite close. There is a couple of other places I want to get back to and film again, like the bridge that I did. I do want to go down and do a nighttime one. Oh, Halloween. Yeah, Halloween's close. I'm actually just waiting and seeing what the next couple of months bring, but if I can get to Sydney before Halloween, I'll be able to film a couple of really cool videos down there. There's a few places I have that I want to go to next trip, looking at different things.
I'm
yeah.
back, sorry. Where's Sam gone?
Oh, I'm not sure.
That was interesting. I've just got Virgin on the phone offering me a free streaming box.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What's that for? Like TV?
Well, but yeah, basically, what I can do now is stream. If I have like Netflix or anything like that,
Yeah.
it streams through the box, and I get £2 off every single streaming service I have through it. So,
Did you say yes?
yeah, well, it
I
ain't
would.
yeah, I did. It ain't costing me anything more a month. It's my broadband and mobile phone package is staying exactly the same price. So I'm like, yeah, okay then.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Virgin. Should do a few lives with an open panel. Yeah, well, that's what I said earlier too. I said that this was going to be an open one and no one wanted to come up. But I will. I'll keep them open. Sam, I had a guy up for assault and he got 6 months. Within 3 hours of release, he assaulted me again, so he ended up back in prison again.
They never learn, some people.
No.
They never ever learn.
Some people probably just should stay in prison.
Don't you think it was very telling how she never had a single friend appear in court for her? Because she was just a sister and a publicist.
And even the
A girlfriend got kicked out at the start of the trial for passing social media messages to her in court.
yep, and being on a phone and that when she wasn't
Yeah.
meant to. Yeah. But you remember Rocky, I don't know if it was a deposition or whether it was a live streaming to the court. But when Rocky came on, she hadn't spoken to Amber for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, apparently they're no longer friends.
Yeah, and then 3 months before the deposition, they started talking again, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, she promised you money.
Yeah, apparently she contacted a few of them who she'd lost touch with a couple of months before the trial started, asking for depositions and stuff.
Yeah,
It was obvious it was all cash. It was all about money from the beginning. It had got nothing to do with domestic abuse.
yeah,
Julie.
of course it was.
She just wanted to totally wreck his career and get as much money out of it as possible in the process.
Yep. Well,
Oddly enough, the day of the trial, he was here in Sheffield, Johnny Depp.
Oh, he was too.
Yeah, he was here in Sheffield the day they announced the trial.
That he won.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew he was in the UK. I didn't know he was that close.
Yeah, he was here in Sheffield.
Oh, that would have been phenomenal.
I'm going to bring him back again.
All right. Halloween is a huge festival here. It's said to be the world's biggest. I really wish that we had Halloween here, like you guys do, in America and even UK. Like, we need to make it bigger here. The people in Australia, they're like, oh, it's an American holiday. It's like, no, it's not. You should look into it. It's so much more than that. But I love Halloween. There was a couple of like props that I wanted to make this year, and I don't know if I'm going to have time, but I'm going to try. There's a guy near where I live always yelling at his missus in public. He's known by the police, but they don't do anything because he doesn't ever publicly hit her. Yeah, that's half the problem, I think. It's hard when it's hard when you're a female and you're in that situation and you kind of want to protect the person, which is stupid, I know, but in a way you want to protect them, but you want it to stop, and you don't know how to get help without getting them in trouble until it gets to the point where you're numb inside and you don't feel anything for them anymore.
Yeah.
It's a very kind of messed up cycle. We are invited to Cumber House and we are going, but I don't want to ghost hunt. We were thinking of doing ITC and EVP work there, maybe a bit of visual observation. I think that'd be fine.
I've got to be honest. I think a lot of these ghost hunting channels are starting to lose a bit of popularity on YouTube now. I think people are starting to get a bit fed up with them.
Do you know, it's kind of part of the reason that I've pulled back, because I love to go out and just run the spirit box, and it's not because I think I'm talking to ghosts or anything else. It's basically just to let it go, maybe ask a few questions and see what I get in response.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other stuff, like for instance, people will put up their K2 meter and they'll be like, are you a man? And it'll flash, oh, it's a man.
Yeah.
Are you dead? Oh, he's dead. And I see a lot of this. And for me, I'd be like, are you a woman? It'll flash. Are you a man?
Yeah, exactly.
It'll flash. Well, that's inconclusive. You can't
Yeah.
call that evidence.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know? Yeah.
And you know, and maybe keep your camera away from the K2 when you're asking the questions.
Yeah, that would help. But yeah, it's a kind of a letdown because so many people think this is real when it's not, and then you kind of get people attacking you if you call them out for it. And
Yeah, you know, if you go back 2 years ago, all these poltergeist houses and demon boxes, you know, the debug boxes, and people were falling over themselves to watch that kind of stuff. Now, if you go and watch these channels who still do that kind of stuff now, the viewerships have really dropped off. You know,
yeah,
I think a lot of this over drama has had its day. You know, there's only so much of it people want to watch before they think, oh, it's just more staged rubbish, basically.
I have seen too. If I was to try something new and I saw it on someone else's channel, I'd be like, I saw such and such use this, and I think it's a really brilliant idea, and I want to give it a go. And you kind of tell them where you saw it, and then if they want to go and watch it over there, they can. But a lot of times I see that, say for instance, you came up with a brilliant experiment and you did it, and us being smaller channels, someone else comes over and goes, oh, that's really good. So they'll take it to their bigger channel and use it, and
Yeah.
there's none of the credit given to.
Seago says there a lot of ghost hunting channels are associated with so much online drama. I imagine that eventually puts people off unless that's what they're watching for, I guess. And that is exactly what it is, Seago. A lot of these channels now have got no real interest. Well, a lot of them never had any real interest in the paranormal. The only interest they had was, how they could financially benefit from the paranormal. But there are channels out there now who they are literally more concerned with arguing with other ghost channels, YouTube channels, than they are actually looking into the paranormal. And that a lot of them have turned into drama channels, and it is off-putting for a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I steer clear of a lot too. It's it's nothing against them. I just don't want to be embroiled in it.
Yeah.
I'd rather just do what I love, and if they want to create without the hate, not to rhyme, then I'll come over there and I'll watch your stuff and I'll become part of it. But yeah.
The thing is, I built up like a little friendly community. The last thing I want is other channels, rabid fans, for want of a better word, jumping on my channel and ruining it for everybody just because I've said something that they that their current idol disagrees with, and that is why I stay away from all the drama stuff, because you end up getting not necessarily ruining your channel, but having to deal with people who've got no real interest in what you're talking about anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it too, is that channels need to understand when they come on that you can sit down and you can have a conversation, and me, you and Sam can have 3 different ideas, and we can sit down and we can discuss it like rational people, and you don't have to attack each other or get venomous about it. You can sit down and you can agree to disagree, and you can say, well, yeah, I don't believe that, but you show me, you prove to me it's real, and I'll take your word for it,
Exactly.
Yeah. That needs to happen more. And I agree too, Sam. I was watching Sam's rant the other day about ghost hunting equipment and stuff, and talking about, the cat balls and all these other little bits and pieces and stuff.
Yeah, but bear in mind, this is Samantha, who months ago said, oh, I think I've bought enough spirit boxes now, and I've seen 3 separate posts this week of new boxes that has had turned up this week.
I've seen a lot more in the last month or so.
I'm just saying in the last few days.
Yeah. I mean, look, if these things, if cat balls and K2s and, light up toys and things like that work, get concrete proof that
Yeah.
they work. Don't sit there and ask a question
Yeah.
without asking another question to
Verify it.
verify it. Yeah, you can't just go, "Oh, are you a male?" You have to ask if it's a female too, and see if you get
Yeah.
the same response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these days you can't just ask that. You've got to ask you've got to ask if they're the other 40 odd genders as well. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you get nasty comments about not being inclusive.
Yeah. Just avoid that question.
Yeah, just don't ask the gender at all.
No. Just ask everything else. Yeah, the same issues with ITC. The box makers are fighting and the operators are fighting. Then we have the fake sessions. If you keep it real, you get less viewers. But to me, I just do it for me. Exactly. I'm not on here to get famous. I'm on here to socialize with people and have fun. And I love my editing aspect of my videos, and that's what I concentrate on too. So, yeah.
Oh, Dedra, don't even get me started on bugs and orbs. Gee, the amount of disagreements I've had with people on YouTube about orbs and bugs and God knows what is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And this is the problem with and it's the fault of programs like Ghost Adventures and Most Haunted and stuff like that. They've conditioned people that you go into this from the perspective of everything is instantly paranormal, and the totally rational explanation should be ignored. Everything has got to be paranormal from the start, when in reality you should be going from the opposite end of it and going through the 99.9% rational explanations before you go into the 0.01% of paranormal explanations.
Yep, absolutely. Oh.
People are allowed to walk past. Shut
up. Oh, how's Yowie doing?
Yowie is now about 15 inches long. Jace is absolutely terrified of her. He says she's bigger than a rat.
She's like a mini T-Rex.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. She's
huge.
Wow. She's absolutely huge. She
Aww.
grew to about 14 inches in 12 weeks.
Is she still orange?
Yeah.
Oh.
She's actually she's just shedding her tail and legs at the moment. The skin off her tail and legs.
Oh, I want one so bad. I'll go catch one.
I don't know. Are you actually allowed to take one out the wild and keep it or not?
I don't know. I don't think I would though, because they've already, they're already grown and, they have their, oh, let me go climb a tree and eat bugs, Whereas if you get one that's actually bred in captivity, you have more chance of it being more friendly, I would think.
Yeah. But as long as you get them from, they're normally quite friendly as babies anyway, bearded dragons.
Yeah.
And she's quite amiable. Yeah, you pick her up and she tries to run away, but as soon as you put her on her, it sits there. And I'll bring her down and sit her on the computer desk sometimes, and I like to rummage around the cables and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bearded dragon.
Yeah, bearded dragon. The ones when I used to go fruit picking when I was like 15, 16, we'd have one drop out of the tree and I'd pick it up and chase my mother down the paddock.
The other day, I'm going to have to order a leash offline because I ain't got a leash for her yet. And so I said, when I get paid next month, I'm going to get her a leash so I can start taking her outside.
With the dragon wings?
Yeah, I daredn't take her out without a leash because as that fast it'd be running off.
Yeah. You should get the one with the dragon wings and then she can look like a little dragon.
I used to have ball pythons, Deidre. They're probably one of the easiest snakes to keep if you get a good one, but they're very temperamental when it comes to feeding. You can end up with one that will literally starve itself to death.
I couldn't do snakes.
Oh, they're lovely snakes.
Oh, no. I'm petrified of snakes more so than spiders. Ugh.
Sam, I don't think the paranormal is ever going to be accepted by mainstream science because there are that many quacks and fakers out there now. I think mainstream science just views it as a laughing stock now. They've gone past the point of, well, the majority of them have, of treating it seriously.
Even if they do have answers, though, they're not going to admit it publicly because of the way that the public has dealt with the paranormal. They'll probably just keep it quiet.
Julie likes trouser snakes only.
Oh. Yeah. Actually, you want to hear something funny? I watched Stranger Things. Like season 4 came out recently.
I ain't watched it yet.
Oh, Brett. Oh, you gotta watch it.
I'm watching The Boys at the moment. I like The Boys.
I'm super glued to it, but then there's this one part where a certain character, and you'll know it when you see it, when you watch it. Their pants were a little tight, and I'm watching it, and I went, rewind, watch that again.
Ain't you watched any of the series of The Boys?
Is that on Netflix?
It's on Amazon.
No, because I don't have Amazon.
Oh, you should watch The Boys. It's like it's about superheroes, but it paints them in a bad light. But there's full frontal nudity and everything in it, Julie, men and women. And I mean, literally, you know, it's quite risque for an American program, but it's absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. It's just started its 3rd series now. It's very gritty and very bloodthirsty. You know, they have people's heads exploding and bodies exploding.
Oh my God.
All sorts in it.
There was actually a really, really good Netflix series. It was called Sense8. I don't know.
I love Sense8. They haven't done another series of it, have they?
They're not going to. They cancelled it. I was so disappointed when I heard about it. They've cancelled it. But that was a good series. That was a little risque.
Yeah. Yeah, well, The Boys is literally, you know, they quite happily have people walking around full frontal nudity and everything, even like the main stars and stuff. There's no... But it's absolutely brilliant because it paints a lot of superheroes in a very bad light. It's almost like the reverse of the Avengers.
Jeez. Actually, if it didn't have so much nudity, although he's getting older now, Xavier probably would have liked that.
Yeah.
Every time he watches a superhero movie, he always goes for the villain.
Yeah. Well, the main villain in it is called Homelander, and he's like based on Superman. He's got the laser eyes and everything. He's constantly blowing people up, but he's very gritty. I love Science Man Down. I absolutely love Science Man Down. When he starts on the flat earthers, it's hilarious.
Is that the one that I came across a little while ago?
Science Man Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, his favourite topic is flat earthers and how wacky their theories are. You should watch it.
Have a look.
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Is that how you spell his name? How Sam has?
I think he's Science Man Dan. Let me check.
Write both down. Hello, Snow. Be a good puppy.
Yeah, Sam. Sam spelt it right. It's SCIMANDAN.
All right, I'm gonna have
so
to go.
So it's Simon Dan. Simon Dan. Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. Especially if if you've ever encountered any flat earthers, because I actually had. I don't know if you were I know Sam was on that night. I don't know if you were, I was doing a live stream the one night and I got invaded by 3 flat earthers. Jesus Christ. That was a funny night and a half. It really was. The theories they were putting forward on the channel were hilarious.
I have come across flat earthers in the past, and some of the theories that they have, it's just mind-boggling. It's like, how can you think that way?
No, Sam, that one don't ring a bell. See, my thing with flat Earth, Julie, is for them to pull off a planet-wide conspiracy that the Earth is actually flat rather than a globe. You'd have to involve all the airline companies. You know, you'd have to involve all the space agencies. You'd have to involve billions of people on the planet, right, to convince everybody that the Earth is flat.
Yep.
Aircraft designers, everything, because they even claim aircraft windows are literally designed a certain way to make the Earth look round to fool people. This is how deep down the rabbit hole these people go. What possible benefit, financially or whatever, would anybody get from convincing people that the Earth was round if it was flat? There's no financial gain or anything to it whatsoever.
No.
You know, so why would anybody have billions of people all involved in a conspiracy that has no benefit to it whatsoever? None?
No. I just had a thought in my head of us moving through the universe like a frisbee.
Well, you do realise that flat earthers claim that Australia doesn't exist.
Oh no, we don't. We're paid actors, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the paycheck.
That is how wacko they are. They actually claim that Australia is a fictional place.
Oh my god. So where, if Australia doesn't exist, where do I live supposedly?
Exactly. But you know that is one of the more wacky theories of them, that Australia is a fictional place.
Oh. And there are people who actually thoroughly believe it too.
Yeah.
They honestly believe that, like, Australia does not exist.
Yeah. You know, and they claim, you know, you can't possibly exist because you'd fall off the bottom of the planet. That is that if it was a globe. You know, they totally ignore the laws of gravity and everything.
What, so they think there's no gravity, we're just sitting on top of a disc?
Yeah, basically. And some of them, because I went on a website once after watching Simon Dan, oddly enough, a website he recommended to go and look at all these wacky theories, and one of them was that we live on this big disc, which is pretty much bowl shaped, I presume, and then there's like a ring around us that we can't pass through. There's this region that surrounds us that we can't pass through, but then they don't explain what's after that.
Well, you just fall off and float in space, don't you?
Well, I don't know. I know of some flat earthers who are Aussies, so they living in the middle of an air pocket or something. Good point, pocket watch.
That's a very good point. Sam said there's a top 10 of fake animals. What is the kangaroo and koala on there?
Oh, has anyone ever heard that if you're pregnant, you can't take a bath because apparently, according to some people, the baby will drown? Lol.
What? Oh, there was this woman on TikTok. I kid you not, she was so serious. She turns around, she goes, I was thinking about getting a tattoo, but I can't get a tattoo because I'm pregnant, and I don't want my baby to have a tattoo when it's born. She thought the tattoo would go to the baby. Oh,
one of the wackiest I've ever seen, and there's been a few of them, that have cropped up, is
yeah.
these people who claim to be having sex with ghosts.
Oh,
Have you ever encountered any of them?
not in real life, but I've seen
Yeah,
like
they are.
YouTubes.
They are so far out of reality. It's unbelievable. So far out of reality.
Did you see the woman that married the ghost? Her
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she gave up living men apparently because they couldn't satisfy her like a ghostly
Oh my
lover.
god.
Unbelievable. Honestly, what planet these people exist? They should be locked up somewhere for their own safety.
Yep.
Oh yeah, pocket watch. There's been a few women who've come out, but the really famous one actually had a ceremony. And didn't she divorce him not long after because for abandonment? I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yes! He ghosted her.
Yeah.
Oh well. Oh.
There's a saying that if you bend too much while pregnant, you'll break your baby's nose. Like.
Oh my god.
But it is really frightening that there are people out there who genuinely believe that these sort of things exist. Look at one of them that was the most deadly, Slender Man. When you've got them two girls in America who took the friend into a wood and nearly stabbed her to death because they'd convinced that Slender Man was going to come and get them otherwise.
That was scary. Yeah.
Yeah. Casper has no bottom half. No fun for his wife. He does. He has like a wiggly bit on the bottom. Perhaps he uses that.
It's a transforming tail.
It comes to a point like an upside down ice cream. So perhaps he uses that. Yeah, that was the woman, Sam, on This Morning. She actually divorced him in the end because he abandoned her, apparently.
Oh my god, could you imagine that?
Didn't she claim he was a pirate? I think she claimed
Yes.
he was a pirate, wasn't he?
Yep. Maybe he sailed away.
He sailed off on the Flying Dutchman or the Black Pearl.
This is the day you remember as the day you almost captured Captain Jack Sparrow. Oh,
but there's some really weird paranormal beliefs out there, and you get people who lock onto them, and they've obviously got some kind of mental health issue. They've got to have, because nobody rational would believe some of the things these people claim. And I think a lot of them are just compulsive attention seekers. They've got to be.
yeah,
It's got to be for attention.
it
Like
has to
her
be.
with the pirate ghost husband. She was untrue, absolutely untrue. And then you wonder why mainstream science won't take the paranormal seriously. When you've got people on national TV making claims like that. I've got a friend, well, an ex-friend, and she's one of the most well-known and documented, and I ain't going to say her name because she is really well-known in UFO circles, but I've known this woman for over 30 years, and she's one of the most famous UK abductees in the country, right? If not the most famous UK abductee in the country. She also claims that she's a superhuman from 2 billion years in the future. And that her spaceship, call it what you want, actually hovers above Glastonbury Tor. 50-mile wide spaceship, invisible spaceship hovering above Glastonbury Tor. She claims that 2 billion years in the future, the sun is about to swallow up the Earth, right? Because it's turning red dwarf. So at this point, 2 billion years in the future, this is the full story, and it's convoluted and weird. 2 million years in the future, the human race is split into 3 separate races. you've got the Apocrians, and I can't remember the name of all of them. The Apocrians, and they're like little hobbity type people. Then you've got a middle race, which I can't remember the name of now for the life of me, and they're like still look like us. And then you've got Melricians, and apparently they're like superhuman type people, you know, really good looking and
Yep.
you know, stunning and Norse god looking type people, right? So the Melricians, Echuans, that's the other one. Did I say Echuans? I didn't know.
No.
Well, they imprisoned the middle race, right, to build this spaceship from what they thought was a spaceship, okay, to escape Earth because it's about to be swallowed by the sun. Turns out it's a time machine. And just before they're due to launch this ship, the middle race revolt, overthrow the Melrician lot, jump on this ship, realise it's a time ship, and piss off in it, right? Taking my friend, ex-friend with them, who's a Melrician princess. This is what she claims. Now, bear in mind, this woman also claims, you know, he's one of the top UK abductees in the country. But she don't reveal this side of the story to people. Only her friends know this side of it. And they land, where did they land first? Oh, in the middle of the ocean, thousands of years ago. And called the ship, which is known as Morning Star, they called it Atlantis, right? And they became the Atlanteans for so long. And they brought all this technology back with them, blah, 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 blah. But apparently, because they'd only built the ship and hadn't designed it, they didn't know how it worked right. So it weren't anchored down properly. So it skipped forward in time again. This is why Atlantis sunk. It didn't sink. It jumped forward in time, but everybody thinks it sunk, right? It landed in ancient Egypt. No, sorry, it landed in ancient Greece next, or in that time. No, sorry, it landed in ancient Greece and it taught all the Greeks. That was the next. I've got to remember the sequence of where this frigging ship went. Right, it landed in ancient Greece, taught the Greeks all that lot, the Mayans, all them lot. It up through history, teaching all these people. Skip forward again, landed in Egypt. This is why they've got the pyramids. The pyramids has watched too much Stargate, I'm telling you. The pyramids are to land Morning Star on top of, right? They're like a docking thing. So they taught all the ancient Egyptians all their crap. It skipped forward again, landed, believe it or not, in medieval England and was now called Camelot. Excalibur is actually is not a sword. It is actually a superhuman weapon from 2 billion years in Earth's history, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ship has skipped forward one final time to our present time, right? Mm-hmm. And now they've got an angle on this ship. They know how it works, and they have literally anchored this ship above Glastonbury Tor, and this ship is 50 miles wide, and it vibrates on a slightly different frequency to the rest of us, so it's invisible. But my friend, ex-friend, can apparently go on and off this ship at will. She's also claimed that she's had people murdered by people on the ship if they found out about this ship without her permission. So this is some of the people you deal with in the paranormal. Even to the point of she's claiming she's had people murdered because they found out that she's actually a superhuman from 2 million years in the future. Now, bearing in mind, this woman claims that she's this Melrician being from 2 million years in the future of gorgeous looking superhumans. She's 4 foot tall, 4 foot wide, with a boss eye and black scraggly hair. Does that sound like a good looking superhuman to you?
Sounds like she might come from the first category, the hobbits.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the sort of people you have to deal with in the paranormal. Now, I know that's this dog seagull sounds like a totally rash. Now, bear in mind that woman is telling all her friends this story and has been for years, right? She is believed by all the leading UFO authorities in the UK for all her abduction stories on time. Her abduction story consists of she's been abducted by little grey people since the age of 3, right?
Yeah.
They've been taking her on the ship and taking her for trips around the galaxy and bringing her back, right? When she was in her 20s, they stole a womb, right? They
Yep.
they left her here and took a womb on the trip around the universe for 20 years. When she was 40, she met this 18-year-old guy, married him, right? Got in a relationship, married him. He was in her 40s at the time, 45. So they decided to bring a womb back, right?
Okay.
But hang on, it gets better. She had to, that these grey people told her that her and her 18-year-old partner had to have sex in the field of another friend of mine from dogs, because there was certain ley lines cross in this field, and they'd got to have sex on the intersection of the thing, because she was going to give birth to a super child, right? Who's going to be like the saviour of the world. My friend ended up having to get a police injunction out on her because this nutter, who's highly respected in the UFO community, was ringing her 7, 8, 9 times a day, asking him for permission to have sex in a field with a partner so she could produce this alien baby. My other friend had to literally take a legal injunction out on her to stop her doing it.
Oh my God.
She has actually had this child. He's how old is he now? 17, 18. He's got to be now. Got to be. You know, and he's got a lot of mental issues, but apparently this child is supposed to be the saviour of mankind. He's like the second coming. So that just demonstrates how easy it is for these whack jobs to insinuate themselves into mainstream paranormal, you know, quite serious organisations, UFO organisations, and be believed on all their abduction stories. She's one of the most famous UFO abductees in the UK.
Jesus.
But she's got all this story that floats around her that the UFO community knows nothing about. But they're believing, if they knew the full picture, you know, they would not be publishing this woman's accounts like they have been.
My God.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I've just got to check my wood fire.
Okay. Problem is these morning TV shows shouldn't have these people. Sam, it's not just morning TV shows. This person I've just been talking to many years ago was flown on Concorde to the US, and she actually appeared. I think it might have been on the Jay Leno show. I can't remember which one it was, and told all her abduction stories on one of America's top evening chat shows. And you know, this is the kind of people we have to deal with. Say you leave your place at 2 p.m. and go through to another time zone, and it's now 12 noon. That's the former. Well, I suppose it is, isn't it, Dedra? Because you've literally gone back 2 hours. You've gained an extra 2 hours of daylight before you need to go to bed. But, you know, Einstein's theory of relativity and stuff, I think it is, actually proves that time travel should technically be possible. If you break the speed of light, you actually break the time barrier at the same time. But the only problem is, I suppose that's okay for going forwards, but how do you go backwards? I've never understood that part of it. Because they have proven if something travels in space, once it breaks the speed of light, it actually starts accelerating away from the speed of, because I believe speed of light and speed of time are the exact same thing. So once you start to accelerate beyond the speed of light, you accelerate beyond the speed of time. So you actually move faster in the future than what's following you. That is why you know, when you come back, you could go out on a trip into the galaxy, and when you come back, 200 years could have passed on Earth, which might only have been a few months for you. But yeah, I suppose when you when I flew to America a number of times, and you know, time's gone back 5 hours. So yeah, I suppose I've time travelled. You're
Bloody
talking
fire
about time.
almost went out.
Oh God. Fancy freezing to death in Australia.
Oh my God. Imagine that. That'd make headlines. Oh, it was 8 degrees earlier. It feels bloody colder than that though.
Mhm.
Check.
I do believe though, Dedra, that people have actually travelled back in time. There's quite a famous case of a couple of women who went to visit the gardens of Versailles in France, and they claim they stepped back in time and ended up at a garden party where in the period of Marie Antoinette, and they'd got all the powdered wigs and everything on, and apparently didn't even realise they had at the time. They thought it was a reenactment. That
Yeah,
was a
I
really
heard about
that's a
that.
really interesting case, that one,
Yeah.
because they didn't even realise they'd gone back in time. They actually thought it was either a film set or some kind of tourist attraction going on at the time.
Oh no, we're
Hey,
Celsius here, Deidre, not Fahrenheit.
I was going to say 8 degrees is a good day.
I know, for you guys that'd be like a normal day.
Gets to 20 degrees here. We're having a heat wave.
Yeah, you guys have like, lower 20-degree days
Yeah,
and you're sweating, whereas over
yeah,
here we have like 40-degree days.
yeah. As soon as you go into the low 20s, it's an heat wave over here.
Oh
30s, it's a
God.
massive wave.
That's bloody 20. That's like our autumn weather, 20 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah, I think time travel will eventually be possible once the technology is developed to break the speed of light. But like I say, that works okay for going forwards in time. But how does it work for going back in time? And then you've got to take into effect the butterfly effect if you go back in time. Because if treading something, there's been numerous films and stuff about it, but something as insignificant as treading on a flower or a butterfly could significantly change the future hundreds of years down the line. You could tread on a butterfly. Say you went back to prehistoric times and you trod on some little animal accidentally and killed it, and then you come back to our time and there's no humans because that little animal was intrinsic in the development of the human race.
Yep.
It could so it's not so much the fact of should we employ time travel, could we? It's more of a question of should we.
I agree with that.
Because of the inherent risks there are that we could end up totally obliterating ourselves by doing it.
Mm. Yeah, especially if you go back. Forward, I mean, it would still have an effect, but forward, at least, if you're going forward, they probably already have advancements in technology and stuff like that. But if you go back, that could have catastrophic effects. Yes, definitely.
But who's to say a lot of these reports of UFOs with little grey men and really, tall, because there's various types of aliens described, from the little 3-foot grey things to big blonde-haired Norse-looking people. Who's to say that they're not actually aliens? They're people coming back from the future.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they are in spaceships, so they don't end up accidentally treading on something and ruining the future.
We'll just float above everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sam. Oh, that's brilliant. That is bloody brilliant.
But
Oh.
it is time travel could potentially be lethal.
Oh, it definitely could. Oh, God. That reminds me of that movie, Daddy's Home.
What, The Shining? Johnny's home.
No, Daddy's Home. It's got what's that funny fella who does oh, Will Ferrell. It's got Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg in it.
I ain't seen it.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. There's a bit with a motorbike. That's what it reminded me of.
I bet she was really happy to see you as well, Sam.
The neighbour.
Yeah.
That's maybe the postman. No post on Saturday, I think. Maybe someone walking past, or it could be Jace. Oh, hi, Jackie. Jackie Evelyn's back. Yeah, I don't know if they get mail on Saturday.
Right, Julie, I'm going to have to sadly love you and leave you.
That's all right. I'm going to finish
Chat-wise,
up too.
Jace has just turned up.
Yep, I thought it might have been. Say hello for me and enjoy the rest of your day.
I will do, thank you. And thank you for having me on. It's been a fun time again. It's helped me get rid of my headache.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. I'll stay in chat. It's just that, I just can't stay live.
Yeah, that's all right. I've got to finish up anyway because I've been on here for 3 hours.
Okay. Have we been on that long?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
All right, guys, I'm going to love you guys and leave you, and I will see you next Saturday if you all make it on. Thank you to Brett for joining us.
You're welcome.
And, yeah, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.